Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Mommas with Commas. We are in our 8th week. We always meet before we hit the live button, and we were just off to just such a dynamic, already just a vibe conversation. So we're gonna let y'all join in with us. We are so happy to be on tonight with Miss Renee Foster. I think we're gonna have a little bit more of a discussion. With definitely the highlight and the focus is Universal Hip Hop Museum.
Yes,
absolutely.
But we're gonna talk about it all. So we are so happy to have you on. Normally, guys, we have a second guest, but tonight is gonna be so amazing. Miss Renee gonna hold it down. She gonna hold it down. Normally, Renee, we started off with having 45-minute conversations, and now we're up to like 2-hour movies.
Wow.
Yeah,
that speaks to the power of engagement, and how interested people are in having these discussions around life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes.
So we didn't know, and I think we said it on the last conversation, we didn't realize, we're in our 8th week. We didn't know where this was going to go.
Right.
We've been in the pandemic. Shanique was in Virginia. I'm in Florida. Mm-hmm. I was traveling back and forth to New York 2 weeks out of every month working, and then it came to an extreme halt. And now I'm just bored in the house, and I'm in a house bored.
It's so crazy. You are talking to a social butterfly.
Yes.
I claim all of it.
How this has affected your mind, your life.
I'm one of those people, because of the nature of my work, and my professional career. I work very hard in building my network and building alliances, mm-hmm. and it requires that I am a bit of a social butterfly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Girl, I looked up one day and I realized I had not had on perfume.
Oh,
and I was like, and thinking about the pandemic and everyone transitioning, I have talked entirely too much to myself and answered my own self.
Whole conversation.
Yes.
The whole conversation. But I have small rituals. I don't sit down to work without putting on shoes every day, because I wouldn't show up to any workplace, any work I was doing, without my shoes on. Okay, now I don't put on my pumps, but it's a part of a mindset for me. And all those things that resemble normalcy and keep us centered. I do all those little things. Frankly, I do Sunday dinner. I cook Sunday dinner every night. Every night I cook dinner. I sit down. I may break bread with my beloved and a neighbor, but even if I don't share my meal, I cook because it centers my week.
Yeah,
it's less cooking I do during the week. Mm-hmm. And I usually make the gospel bird fly me in, and I roast a chicken. So while everybody was rushing up in their house trying to break bread and everything,
yes,
listen. Once again, the last of the generation that had a straightening comb in their head. I'm possibly the last generation that sat down to dinner every night. So,
oh gosh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the importance of sitting at the dinner table over a meal and just having conversation. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, what does that do for the family unit or just, relationships? Because I'm really thinking of, we get our plates. We had a big family, a lot of kids. So the kids would go sit around one table. We make sure they eat, and then we eat. And now we're turning into empty nesters. We have just 3 children left. They're all in high school. But I'm really, really wanting to have that dinner table, to sit down, almost like that Italian style, have the food spread out through the middle, old school Sunday dinner, grabbing the rolls out the basket type deal, and having those nightly conversations. So what's your feedback there?
I have Southern roots, and my parents are from North and South Carolina respectively. And I also came from a big family. And my father actually cooked Monday through Friday. My mother did the kitchen takeover on Sunday, and it was understood that everyone had to learn to cook. So there were different things beyond just the sitting down together, the ritual of preparing, working together. The way our parents taught us is that the youngest one would get the dullest paring knife and a potato, and you were put to work as a sous chef. And as you got more proficient, you'd move up the line, and you really felt you'd arrived by the time you got to cook with mom or dad.
Yes.
Seriously. And everybody kind of had their own specialty. Even my rotten baby sister can cook like a Southern woman. If you want biscuits and gravy, and she cooks like that, that's not my style. But even my brother, he was either the pancake breakfast king or the short order hamburger guy. You know, my dad used, he allowed my parents allowed my brother to convert to Catholicism, which was my father's excuse to throw a fish fry every Friday.
Okay. Ritual.
Here's the deal. When you talk about family, this is something I found out much later on. I realized that sitting down to dinner, those Friday night fish fries, my father had one rule. I would say, Daddy, can Neequa and Toyia stay? Because he would make a 5-pound bag of potatoes, hand cut fries. And I would say, Daddy, can so-and-so stay? And he said, sure, if I can call their parents. And they say, yes. I looked up by summertime. By the time school let out, my father had every child who he'd ever given a phone number. He had the parents' phone number.
Oh.
I didn't know. It never occurred to me that he was doing anything other than getting permission. But the outcome was, whenever my friends and classmates that had ever had a fry saw my father in the street, they straightened up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was, hi, Mr. Bob. You know, with the hope I could come back, or with the hope that you never see me doing anything that you have to call my parents, because I know you got my number.
You got the number.
Right.
Y'all hear that? I mean, it starts with food, it starts with dinner, and it turns into discipline. It turns into a respect. You know,
it's the village. It's the village.
There you go.
I feel lacking, because I know when I was growing up, you know, you had aunts, uncles, neighbors, you know, people who you grew up with, and you looked out for each other, you know, and you respected each other, and you knew that if you did something and they went back and told your mother, that you was going to be in trouble. So, you know, it was that respect level that I think, and this is my opinion, I think the problem is that a lot of these kids don't have any respect. You know, they have no respect for their elders. But I think what also is happening is that parents, not all parents, but there's some parents that are not there for their kids for whatever reason. They got to work 3 jobs. They got their own mental issues going on that in our community, we don't acknowledge mental health. So we don't address it early enough in order for it not to be a bad situation where kids are left at home or whatever the case may be. And so it's a lot of things, and people don't want to be bothered. Like, people are like, no, I'm not going to get into it. It's not my business. I don't want to be bothered with it.
Well, you know, the culture has changed. The culture has changed, and policies that children have become aware of, like, you can't touch me, you can't say anything, you're not my parent, don't reprimand me. The flip side of that is, no matter what you can provide for your child, if you're not emotionally available, for whatever reason, and because I honestly believe that on some level there is some dysfunction in every family, you know, but if you're not emotionally available, you can't expect your children to really open up to you. And if you are of the school of do as I say and not as I do, you won't get the respect of children. You just won't. Okay. I may not have grown up having to say, yes, sir, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am, although my Southern roots, you know, required that, but having grown up in New York and lived, you know, back and forth, and we spent our summers in the Carolinas, and I got a taste of, you know, what it means to have a Southern upbringing. Although I was reared in New York, there were certain things you understood. I always understood that my parent was not my little friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was deep rooted in you.
Let's just start with that piece right there, because when your children think that you are their friend and not the head of your household, the leader of your family, or listen, let me tell you something. I had a pocket-sized mama, and she instilled fear. The woman never raised her voice, and she would say things so calmly like, "You're going to make my garden beautiful." I sound just like that. It's scary. And we would say, "Well, does she mean she'll kill us and plant us in the yard?"
What does that mean?
Oh, no. We wouldn't let the woman get. Listen, if it rained and she didn't have an umbrella, we might argue to be the one to take her umbrella to keep her happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But that was related to her ability to. She had a house full of children, and she would be considered a baby mama because she started having us at like 16.
Okay.
But, when I went to high school, she went to college. We were freshmen the same year. She was a freshman in college the same year I was a freshman in high school. But
man,
she,
that's awesome.
She made it very clear who was the boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for her.
Yeah. You know, when she saw us, perfect anecdote. When she saw us all outgrow her, she lined us up. Because the lineup at my house was the regular. When my father used to do it, I used to call it Face the Nation, because he was brilliant. It was an interrogation. But with Mom, she lined us up and said, "I see all of you are outgrowing me." And she just talked so nice. And we're like, "Oh, here we go."
Like, what's happening?
Yeah, she's like, "I see all of you outgrowing me, but I want you to know, I want you to try me. I'm ready." And then she looked at me directly, because I had about 3-4 inches on her. And she said, "And you, I'm especially waiting for you." Let me know in no uncertain terms, "Girl, don't test me. Don't test me." Because I had a mouth on me. You could read the expression on my face of contempt if I didn't like what you said to me. She had me in check. Okay. Your children need to know that I am obligated to provide for you, but in exchange for that, you will respect my home.
Exactly.
You will respect my home. That's all. You know, you will respect my home. And I don't think it's more complicated than that. I think that, you know, when your children understand that you work to put a roof over their heads, because I got so sick of my father saying that it was his castle. And if you wanted to do what you wanted to do, you had to get your own.
Right.
You know, but the village today is very fractured. People, you know, beyond the dysfunction, the mental illness, people don't want you to say anything to their child. And I do understand that, because it is not appropriate to reprimand a stranger's child. It is never appropriate to intervene unless there's bodily harm involved. You better keep your opinion to yourself.
Right.
Because if you do not provide for that child, the best you can do, if it rises to the level where you feel something should be done, then you got to make a decision. Do I want to put this family in family court? Do I mind my business? Do I ask the parent to step aside? May I have a word with you, please, respectfully? You know, there's a whole lot of things. You know, there's the child welfare bureaus all over this country are inundated with children of color, you know, who are victims of, you know, violence, dysfunction, you know, sexual abuse, neglect, all of that. And you don't want to put another family in that scenario where there's government oversight into their lives about how they're caring for the children that they love. Because in my estimation, you don't have to be a perfect parent, but your love should be perfect.
Right.
Okay.
I love that. I mean, that is so perfect. You know, we beat up ourselves a lot about the tasking and the duties and the emotions. And we talked about it a little bit in the last chat, just, special, taking our kids out to eat at fun restaurants and, and all, the expensive restaurants versus the cheap restaurants. And
wait a minute,
if we ask my mother
for a burger, if we ask my mother for a fast food burger, you know what she say? She said, I can buy bread that shape. And I really believe that's why my brother became the hamburger specialist.
She's the hamburger man.
Yeah, because she would not buy a fast food burger. She just wouldn't. She just wouldn't. She cooked too good. She knew everybody didn't have to cook.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was one meal. There would be one meal made. You didn't get to say, I don't eat this, I don't like that. My father would come to the table and say, let the food fill your mouth. If it was too much discussion about the meal or the events of the day, after dinner, because we had to put out serving plates, we would be mad because it was, of course, there wasn't no dishwasher in the house. We were the dishwasher. Okay, my mother's hands never touched the dishwasher in my memory once I was past 10. Never, ever. And so I had always serving, dishes to in addition to plates and cutlery and pots and pans and stuff. You knew what your responsibility was. And a lot of it was driven by those, daily sit-down dinners. Friday and Saturday were the only days that had any real flexibility, but you knew basically, like Sunday through Thursday, Sunday through Friday. So what time you were going to eat. You knew that you could not, you had to wash every pot. You couldn't stick a pot in the fridge. The rules were the rules. They were a part of assigned chores that my mom kept a calendar tacked to the refrigerator door. You knew what your chores were. She says, I feed you. You should, I feed you. You should clean.
Right. Right. You should, and you will, Well, my daughter is scarred from, we did have a dishwasher, but they had to load it and unload it. And they had days, and she despises it. It's so funny because she hand washes a lot of her dishes now to avoid the dishwasher.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Listen,
we have a conversation about that. That's straight up memories right there.
Listen, my mother, she had it with me one day because I went to her house and I made her grandson and his little friends rearrange all her furniture. And she was like, I don't appreciate all my men listening to you. Every boy in the hood, she worked in public health. A part of what I do in terms of my passion for community is because when my mom graduated with her RN degree, she always worked in public health. And she always worked with disadvantaged communities at risk, communities of color. And she would say, I didn't always like the people I worked with, but I always loved the people I worked, to serve.
Right.
And I think about my work in, will it enrich someone? Mm-hmm. Does it inform someone? Does it uplift someone? And that's so much bigger than me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a perfect kind of position and outlook on things, even dealing with what we're dealing in nowadays with protesting and taking a stand for our race, the whole world. I mean, if once you start looking inward, you're like, dang, it's certain people in my family I don't really know, they done me wrong, or here I am, but it's not about that. You know what I'm saying? You might not like, but you love your people and you serve and you service.
Listen, there's so many things. If I had the power to wave a wand, I would change. Okay. But it's sometimes in the smallest ways. If all you can do is to lead with love, if you can do that much, if you can lead with love and no judgment, if you can do those two things, that means your empathy is intact. And you know, sometimes, listen, I have accepted a long time ago that I will not always understand. But I do have an obligation to accept someone's humanity in spite of whatever circumstances they may be going through. And I think people will sense that.
Right.
When
they will. That was important. Sense, you know, that energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, there's so many ways when you interact with people. You know, New York is a really, really busy place, but daily we interact with millions of each other. If you commute, you move around to public transportation. And I'll never forget, there was a father with 2 little boys, both under the age of, I mean, the oldest one might have been turning 4, and the other one was not quite 2. And he was trying to baby wrangle in the subway, and the little boy had got a running start toward me, and I'm like freaking out because it's a subway platform.
I would have been freaking out too.
But I'm quiet. Yeah, but I was so nervous, but I was quiet. So I make eye contact with the dad, and he scoops him up. We get in the train. Right. Come right near me. I can feel it. Kids and dogs love me. Right. The little boy, he can't sit still, and I see it. I say, "Oh, you have happy feet." His father convinced him to sit down next to me. And the time it took me to go from my home station where we all got on the train, and I got to Midtown Manhattan approximately 20 minutes, 25 tops. That little boy sat still long enough for me to teach him the days of the week.
Wow.
Got that good energy.
Good energy.
That was a lesson for the day.
His name was Donovan, and his brother was named Jonathan. And I kept flipping them for the rhyme, for the rhythmic of it. And he was fascinated. But this is this is just attention. This is not special. This is, I know this boy may have had ADD. Okay, it's very possible.
Right.
Just hyperactive, but it didn't bother me. I just saw that this child who was convinced to sit next to me wanted to engage me. I could have put on headphones. I could have stuck my head in my phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But no child will ever be ignored by me.
Right.
Okay. My mother was honored by the Lysol Clorox Corporation for Women of Strength and Courage. When she retired from the Dauphin County Agency on Aging as a caseworker, she got bored and she went to work for 2 places. You're going to love this. A homeless shelter for women and children that were survivors of domestic violence. And the other place that she went in the evening to work was the Woodside Center for women that were parolees or, recidivists, women that were, coming transition and whatnot. And her motto was, if you can help one child, you've saved the world. And it's real simple. But my favorite one of hers is, I got a million, I got country parents, so they like to talk junk.
Yeah.
Her other motto was, it's never a bad day to look good.
I love that one.
I like that one.
I love that one. I'm gonna go back. I have a funny story because that kind of ties in probably why you put those shoes on every day.
Yes.
But I do the same thing. And the way that my desk is set up at the house is it backs up to the back of my couch.
Okay.
So I have my shoes on. I guess at some point during working, I kicked them off. And then I must go and find another random pair to put on and walk around because
you leave your shoes in the house just to walk around.
Yo, I look under the couch and I'm like pulling shoes out like, dang, I forgot about these. I forgot I had these.
Girl, listen.
Trying to look good every day, trying to make it work, trying to make it happen.
No. Listen, I'm a terrible, terrible woman. Don't let my shoes be under the bed because I don't get down on my floor unless I get down on my yoga mat. So I make my man get my shoes from under the bed. It's his job.
Shoes for me.
Yes. So I said, "Go to bed." I don't do that. I don't even get the broom. I don't even try. If he's cold, please get my shoes. And can you buckle them? Now that you got
I've washed enough dishes in my life. Can you get my shoes for me? I've not been bending down. I earned my spot. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But as you know, following her example, loving community, working in public health. Well, my passion has always been arts and culture. Her example kind of inspired me to think of the ways that, we're touched universally, to think of the ways that we find inspiration, things that expose us to others. And arts and culture is the principal way that is achieved. Unfortunately, we are in an era where fewer and fewer school districts are funded for arts education. And arts education enhances all other learning. And this is critical, particularly for our children who, their sense of timing, their rhythm, their movement, everything about who we are, how we are, the expression of our Blackness is, in a rhythm of poetry and music and dance and all those things and decorative arts and expression. So those outlets have incredible value for our children. So I push to create those things. I work very, very hard to ensure that long after I'm gone, these institutions, these artists will continue to provide something of inestimable value to our children.
Thank you so much for what you do.
It's very important. I know for me, I'm very artsy. I love, the arts. Music, but I grew up in a family that was very artsy as well, like blasting. Because I'm originally from the Bronx. We moved down to Virginia a couple years ago, so grew up in Castle Hill, Soundview area, and we would. Everybody thought my mom and my dad were Latin because they would always play Latin music, but it was that was the vibe at that time. It was calypso, salsa, then you had the hip hop and, just all different types. And so that's what I was brought up with. And so I feel like it definitely brings people together. Music is definitely good for the soul. I know it's good for me to meditate. It helps me like reprogram.
Yes.
And so I just feel it's so important that put that back in the schools, kind of give the kids that balance, because there's some kids who flourish more hands-on.
Exactly.
And by hearing, different things of that nature,
Some people are visual learners. Some people are auditory learners that learn by hearing it. What you're saying about being a New York native is so true, because we have the benefit of a very cross-cultural mix. And my pancake hamburger making brother used to tell me, oh, you think you're cool? You would cool. You can go salsa with the Latins. You know what I mean? And for me, Spanish is in the water in New York. And my father used to bring home Afro-Cuban soul music. And, I used to salsa so hard with my brother because he would take me to Losiada on the east side of Alphabet City when it was terribly unsafe. Like at that point, there was in that era here in New York City, the Lower East Side, Alphabet City was like the drug supermarket in New York. You could buy any kind of drug, and there was heroin use was rampant and all of that. But I digress. But he would take me to La Mariposa, which was up on Broadway at like 96th Street to dance salsa. He would take me to little hole in the wall clubs. We grew up in a house where I could play Olatunji's Drums of Passion. Okay. And just break out and do me some African dance in the living room without going.
There you go. Yes.
Okay. And then my father would turn around and buy. I remember he bought home the Sly and the Family Stone album.
Mm.
So every, his big treat, his outing for us, because we didn't buy fast food, is we'll go to the record store. When there were record stores, we were allowed to buy any music we wanted, and it didn't matter what you liked. Everybody got to introduce the family to a new song or a new artist or a favorite song of the moment. So you could either buy a 45, or if it's an artist you really liked and you had saved your little money, you could buy the whole record. So, and we would dance in the living room. You know, I love when I see all the families on TikTok and stuff, because my father,
it's so much fun.
Oh my God, my father danced so badly in the living room, he would embarrass us, but we used to love it. Oh my God.
I think that's the best picture I have of my dad. He's like, his hands is in the air. It's Christmas time. There's a tree behind him, and he's just dancing. It's like the best time ever.
Yeah. And people like to see their parents. Like my parents would dance cheek to cheek, do two, couples dance, two-step. Old-fashioned two-step, right? And we were like, oh God, because they'd be holding each other tight, and he had his lips on her neck, and we were just, but we had, once again, back to family. It was fun in the living room.
Yes.
On a Friday night, listen, on a Friday night when all the porkies and whiteys had been fried in that 5-pound bag of potatoes, and moved across the table.
Yeah.
But invariably had a bottle of liquor on it. And we danced in the living room because it was a big old console where you dropped it on the record. And on Saturday we had to get up and clean the house. And it was just, the routine of knowing there would be laughter, there would be music, there'd be food, and there's gonna be some dancing.
It's gonna be dancing. It's gonna be music, and it's gonna be dancing.
There'll be some dancing, and then you knew your week, day to day, had come to a climax on a Friday, and you had the weekend, and Monday you start all over again.
Right.
But the continuity, I think the continuity, and this is what a lot of kids miss, routine.
Yeah.
Routine, just simple routine. Ritual.
Ritual.
A
tradition. Tradition. Yes, I was gonna say tradition.
Yeah.
I think we lost that with material things. I think we had this, Toyia and I had talked about this before, is that, for Christmas, instead of giving presents and things of that nature, let's create memories. Let's go on a trip. Let's actually do something together as a family, whether you don't volunteer your time or something that you're going to remember, because all those things you get for Christmas, I mean, I've seen it's ridiculous. People spend so much money, but they're crying that they can't pay the rent. But you look under that Christmas tree, your rent is under the Christmas tree, your rent and your car note. And you're doing all of this stuff because you feel like your kids are missing out on something. But guess what those toys are going to be? You're going to be piling them toys up to give them to somebody less fortunate. And then you're going to spend money again. Like, they're useless to me. And I just feel like we need to do more of creating memories instead of buying our children's love.
But that goes back to what is the quality of attention you give your children. Because it's very easy. That father on the subway could have handed his hyperactive little boy his phone.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But he didn't. What he did is he somehow convinced his child, who felt like, I want to sit next to this person, to do that. And it comes down, how do you want to engage with your kids? Do you want them to not annoy you? Do you want to distract, for them to have a distraction? Would you prefer you park them in front of the TV or a PlayStation? I mean, this is really up to you. This is not what kids want.
Right. Right. They want connection. They want engagement.
Precisely. My niece, my great niece, my baby sister's firstborn grandchild, came to New York in 2013 when she was 7, and she came to New York asking for a device. She came to New York asking for a tablet. I said, okay, you want a tablet? Do you have money? Me and the money friendly, and I'm real clear about the money.
Oh, we know about you and the money. We know about you and the money.
Always. And so she says, no, I don't have any money. I said, well, do you want a business or do you want a job? And I gave her the option. And she said, I'll take the business. And I had an old cigar box, old-fashioned cardboard cigar box. I put wrapping paper in it and made it really pretty and put little letters in it. And I let her sell all my old 80s earrings, old pairs of sunglasses, and
that's awesome.
things. And did you take that out the oven? No. So she made enough money to feel empowered enough to tell me one evening when we were HBO used to hold a free movie screening out on the Great Lawn in Bryant Park in the middle of Midtown Manhattan, right off Times Square. We're there trying to watch. I'm trying to watch the classic, what was it, Night of the Body Snatchers or something. All black and white. Right? And she's flossing because she got, first of all, I made her buy a wallet. And she had a purse, and she's flossing because she knows she got money in her purse. We need to go over there to that cafe. And I'm like, I've never eaten in that cafe. I'm not spending my money in that cafe. Are you going to spend your money in that cafe?
Yeah, you treat.
Because I tried to trick her. I said, well, they don't have French fries. They only have pommes frites.
Okay. Oh, she like, what's that?
And then I said, well, why can't you just wait till the movie's over and we go eat McDonald's French fries? Because I don't want factory food. That was my fault. Because I told her, I said, if you don't make it at home, they're making it in a factory for you. She turned it on me. But the whole thing, she just felt so empowered because she had made this money. And she got her tablet, and because she had her own money, I would say, I'm just your business manager. I don't take any profits. I just control the money. So all the money she made was hers. But this is financial literacy. This is why kids don't understand that there's no point in having status things that will lose their value. Because we don't teach them financial literacy. When's the last time? And I want you to ask unofficially. When was the last time a mom created a bank account or one of those mobile cash systems where you can monitor what money your child gets, how much money goes into the account, how much money is being saved, and all of that? Essentially, how many people have even had a conversation about money? What to spend on?
It's rare. It's rare. It's very rare. And I started with my girls. I have a blended family. I raised 7 children together. I used to hold classes in each one of their bedrooms. One Saturday a month, we would learn how to write checks. Checks are kind of obsolete now, but we opened bank accounts. We talked about credit. Last night, I had a very intense and in-depth conversation with my 21-year-old about credit. She called me talking about, this credit card looking good. I think I said, what? This turned into a 2-hour conversation. Let's discuss why you want that, and then like we said before, we're learning, as we go. So any little tips that I learn along the way, my kids are the first ones I'm sharing with.
Listen,
these parents have got to get on the ball.
Yes, especially when your kids start, because I know for me, I have 3 children, and my oldest 2, I have what they call Team A and Team B. I have a 20-year-old and I have an 18-year-old. So when they started working, they had accounts. They had their own accounts, direct deposit, sitting there budgeting what you need to pay, and and at this time, I wanted them to save. I didn't want them paying bills. I wanted them to save. I wanted them to see it their accounts stack up. And then when they got to college, reality hit because they realized, okay, this money that I was budgeting for, now I got to use it.
Right.
What am I going to do to replenish it?
Right. Exactly.
So it's just teaching them, not to say I'm going to let my kids fall. I'm going to be there, but you got to learn how to navigate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you, Toyia, I come from a blended family. And because it was like 7 of us, and children are very conscious of money conversations. Never discount that. Whenever you have a discussion near and around your children that's about finance or what you pay for, children are paying attention to how money is spent on them, for them, and how money is used in their household.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because at a very impressionable age, when I was, grade school and precocious, because of overhearing those kinds of conversations, I got in trouble because the day of the month that all the paper invoices would come to the house, I had about a 20-minute window before my father came home. I had my first key about 4th grade.
Okay.
20-minute window for my father to put his key through the door. I opened all the mail and read all the bills. I wasn't bad. I was just busy. I read the mortgage statement. I read the insurance policy because it had the former president's name on it, John Hancock. I got into so much trouble. I knew what the utility bill. I read everything. Fast forward around 5th grade or so, I learned about compound interest.
Okay.
It was a revelation. Girl, by the time I was 13, I thought they were going to kill me because I opened up a bank account, a passbook savings account, and didn't nobody know. And when my father asked me why, I didn't know nothing better than to come out my slick mouth and say, nobody at the bank told me I had to tell anybody.
Oh, no.
So, my impression about money as a child meant you saved, counted what you spent, you had goals for your money, plan, and my people don't come from money. Trust and believe, I do not come from the Huxtable family.
Right.
Okay.
We learned as we went.
Exactly. But their example of home ownership, the struggle to provide for us all, and being, I guess, as young parents, being honest with us about financially what sacrifices we had to make. And by the same token, I saw them my father in particular, do unusual things and budget and provide for us. Being from the Bronx, you'll appreciate this, Neequa. He had a friend, I don't know how, but he had a friend that was a Jewish man from the Lower East Side, Delancey Street area, who would drive out to Queens on Sunday, set up a rack in our living room, let us shop as a personal shopper in our living room, and my father paid this man on time.
Yes, I miss that. That's the best.
Weekly, wasn't that the best? That the best? I'll never forget one Christmas we all got leather coats, and my daddy paid this man every week, and everybody had the fly leather coat. And it's those things, making children understand that all our efforts are to provide for you. In exchange, this is transactional, and in exchange, we were told, if you don't work, you must go to school.
Right.
And if you do work, you must be preparing for your future.
Yes.
All right. My mother would not allow me to go get a fast food job because I was an excellent student once. And this woman, I came home with the application. Now, I told you she was pocket sized, so she was shorter than me. My mother pulled an optical illusion on me. When I handed her the application to get her signature on it, my mother somehow, and don't ask me how she did it, somehow she looked down at me. Now, I'm tall. She looked down at me. And she said this, just like this. I mean, she practically sniffed when she said it. Oh, you can find something better to do. With the imperviousness of Queen Elizabeth.
Wow.
So, how your children see you work. How you impart the value of money is important. And the reason why I'm independent today is because my daddy would say, do you have your man money? Because, if you get mad at that boy, you can come home. Have your mad money.
Your mad money.
If you get mad, if you don't want to call me to come get you, you call a cab. Have your mad money.
Okay, y'all.
Yeah.
That country man used to say, girl, do you know when to leave the party? I was like, Daddy, what are you talking about? would say things that would offend me, but I realized he was right.
Yeah.
He was, this South Carolina was unvarnished. And he would say, you have a curfew. He says, you have a curfew to be in this house at a certain time because there's only one thing open at 2 a.m. all around the world in every time zone. Daddy, what is that? I'm thinking it's a bar.
Is it a bar?
A restaurant?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He said, no, the only thing open at 2 a.m. is legs.
Exactly. That's what I was told. I was told the same thing. I play.
Go home.
My mother didn't play. My mother, that's exactly what she told me. She was like, anything past a certain hour, is unacceptable. You are not a lady. You are not a lady.
Right.
True.
Ladies do not act like that. And this is what they keep telling me all the time too. It may not seem, you may not be happy now. All those guys want to come after you now. But let me tell you something. You don't do it now, they're going to be still coming after you later. They're not going anywhere. So there's no rush. And when they're done with, and no disrespect to anybody, because everybody has a different situation they had in their life. But when they're done with whoever, they will come right over to you. It's just another notch on their belt. You're young. This is what you do. This is what they do. And as a child, you don't understand that because you feel like you're being left out. You feel like you're the outcast. You feel like they're like, oh, my parents are strict. Oh, we know you can't go. Oh, we know, And so as a child, it's traumatizing. But then as you get older and you realize and life happens, you're like, you know what? I'm glad my mother was like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't in the mix.
Listen, that very same brother that required me to learn salsa, he was a beast. He was juvenile delinquent number one bad boy, club kid.
Oh,
I mean, he was brilliantly talented. Any talent, any native ability, talents that I have, magnify it on him. And first of all, he was concerned because I was kind of a rough tomboy at one point for quite a long time. I was the kind of girl. The man, he used to hit me and make me go grease my legs because I had rusty knees and didn't care. And I was a rough neck and climbed a tree and didn't care. And it was shocking to him to see me go into my teenage years and become a young lady.
There you go. Right.
He lined up his friends and he told them in front of me, you see that one?
Yep.
I'll kill all of you and a tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a tree.
And a tree. And I was like, what on earth?
Very
right. No boys want to talk to me. And now I'm very happy. Now I'm very, very happy because he made it very clear. If your intentions aren't right, my sister is you're not suitable to talk to her. I know. Not only do I know you, I know what you're about. So I have the right to say this to you as a man.
Yeah. And
as my so-called friend.
Right.
Talk to anybody except my sister. Okay.
You never forget that protection through life that, was displayed so early on. I know in the moment you're like, what is going on?
Exactly.
The guy that I like is in this line. What are you doing to my life? You know what I mean?
And I'm gonna tell you something else he did. Something else he did, and this was very, very formative. As he saw me change, he never said you're pretty. But he would tell anyone who asked that I was beautiful. The only thing he would ever say to me, and he used it like a prod. It could be positive. It could be pushy. He would say, oh, you're smart. You're smarter than that. You're smart. You'll figure it out. You're so smart. You know better. You're smart. Don't be fooled. And it just made me think of myself differently instead of thinking of my looks.
Right.
Every woman feels somehow as you're transitioning into your womanhood, you feel inadequate. We pick ourselves apart. We all aspire to look a different way. We want what we don't have naturally. And we have to work through that until we come to a place where we accept, what the gene pool has blessed us with. And so, it made me think of myself as having substance, made me think of myself as bigger than my physical appearance, and that I had a good brain. It really made me believe I had a good brain. And for that, I am grateful to him, because he was such a bad boy. He was, he died very young because, the street called him. But for how wonderful he was as a brother.
He was so impactful.
The last baby he interacted with in the family, no one could do anything with this spoiled, crying Holland. With him. And he would just shove some Pampers in his back pocket and a bottle in his front pocket, and he'd just go off with the baby, and the baby would come back happy and gurgly and ready to say things. And once again, it's about the love being perfect and not about the perfect person.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to listen to your story, and I don't know, but it sounds like he connected with that child. Like he saw himself in that child. There was something there that connected him.
Him and that little girl, Tisha's a grown woman now, but they had such a connection. When we remind her, and show her pictures and remind her of that special connection, somehow she just felt so loved. And I can't explain that. I don't think anyone can explain when you feel a connection to someone, when you're around a particular friend or family member, the peace you feel, the comfort you feel in their presence. There are no words to really describe that, but you know it. Our mother said, "Those who feels it knows it." And I think that's very, very real. I think now we're in a time where connections are more important than ever.
Yes.
I agree. Coming out of quarantine around the country, you really want to be clear. Do I really want to spend my time with this person? Who have I missed? What company have I craved?
Yeah.
Who do I just want to have a conversation and look in their eyes?
Right.
Basic connections that allow us to be reminded that we're all in this together. We need each other.
Yeah.
Remind us that, if you can find some love in your day-to-day, familial love, the love of, platonic love, your passion for a particular thing or a way a person looks at you. It doesn't matter. Find something with meaning. Make sure it's connected to someone that means something to you.
You are so right.
And we will be
I
absolutely
think we to be more conscious of, like you said, just be more conscious, especially when it comes to family. I think when I look, or me, I try to do away with I don't like the drama, the combative. We should all be together, and if it's okay if we cannot coincide with each other, I still love you, family, and it's okay. I'm not going to be upset and be like, oh my God, because sometimes it's, it's okay to be apart, and you could come together when it's time, and then you could be apart. But as long as you're not disrespectful with each other, you respect each other's space, you respect each other's reasoning. I think sometimes as family, we take control and we're like, oh no, you don't know what you're thinking. Or whatever, or that's family. But at the same time, we're human and we deal with a lot, and there's a lot going on. And I think we just need to have more compassion towards each other and uplift each other and try to hold each other accountable. Because I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm trying. I'm a work in progress. A work in progress.
Yeah. Right. Listen, in my grandmother's church in North Carolina, Burning Bush, Holy Ghost, Pentecostal Baptist.
All that. And his hands in there and like
and they glove.
In the blood of Jesus. But they would sing a song. They used to sing a song. They would say, be patient with me, God is not through with me yet. And the human condition means that we are always in a constant state of transforming.
Oh my God, yeah.
When you look at cultures, when you look at Black culture around the world, transformation is what we've done. you know,
and we can connect and we can see it and we can feel it. Finally,
absolutely.
Finally,
Absolutely.
It's not, it was written. It's not what they provided. We can see it. We can feel it.
Right.
Yes.
We are watching it. We are radiating.
Yes.
And
we are radiating.
Yeah. And the beauty of Toyia and I know coming from a big family teaches you a kind of acceptance, particularly when it's a blended family. And the rules were very specific. And we got, let's transpose these little rules over to the larger family of man, a Black family in particular. The rules were simple. You did not fight each other. If you did not agree, you did not tear down the other. Don't judge.
Yes.
Because you can't walk in my shoes.
Okay.
Those basic rules coming from a big family apply to the family of mankind. Okay? I don't have to understand you, but I got to respect your humanity.
Exactly.
I don't have to want to be around you. But I don't have to disrespect you.
Right.
You know, my terrifying little mother never raised her voice.
Right.
The woman never used a curse word. The woman would use the letter D to say the word damn.
Damn. Yes.
She would say, give me that.
I know my mom was watching and she was like, she did not curse.
My mother didn't curse. You know, so, you know, you be mindful of the words you use. Don't be an interrogator. Let people come forth.
Yeah.
Be forthcoming. And don't dismiss people's pain.
Right.
Okay? Because you don't know the name of my pain.
Exactly.
And if you're mad, please remember, I am not the name of your pain.
Okay.
Okay? I'm not the name of your pain. And if you want to press me into your agenda, your needs, if you're selfishly thinking I'm here to serve you, let me tell you what my baby sister told me one time. She said, you need to bring your maid from home. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. If you want something, you got to press someone to do your bidding. It's a metaphor for life. Bring your maid from home. Yeah. I'm not in service to your needs.
Right.
Okay. So respect mine. Respect mine. If I tell you I'm in emotional pain, don't question me. Don't dismiss me.
Yes.
If you care for me, you'll just listen. Because more often than not, that's all you need. And I think that's why my mother won us all over, because she had a way of making you feel that when she locked eyes on you, that the background was receding in back of you. And if her laser focus in that moment, it could be silly. It could be, you could say, Mommy, I want to tell you a joke. It could be anything. You could tell her, you know, Mommy, you know, my hair's on fire. Whatever it was, she would stop what she was doing.
Yep.
And she'd say, yes. And you just knew. You knew in that moment you had her undivided attention. That's a skill. So many of us have. How often can you make someone feel that in the moment they are the only thing that matters? Who does that? How do you
take that time?
How do you learn that skill though? I don't think we all have it naturally.
I was gonna say it's a natural thing, and then you know if that's something that you learn along the way, it's probably by way of like public speaking, you know, or being a teacher. But it's still something very natural that comes along with it, you know, to be able to.
Yeah,
I believe that. I believe people that have it naturally, you know, these are the people that have the ability to do good in the world, influence the world, you know, whether they become life coaches or public speakers. I believe, you know, those people that have that empath power. Yes. I like to refer to it as. The people that actually have empath power. They have exquisite listening skills. They come without judgment. They know the motto, there but for the grace of God go I.
Right.
I had a girlfriend. I had a friend of a friend once who was in love with someone that was very, very bad, and we wanted to do an intervention one day. And she used the power of music to explain to us why we needed to mind our business, and she did it in the most gentle way. You know, she didn't get an attitude. She didn't jump up and cuss us out or nothing like that. But she got up and she put on one record. Mm-hmm. Now we knew she was in a choking kind of love. That was established. Mm-hmm. But she got up and she put on Sade's "Is It a Crime?" Mm-hmm. And we just, you know, at that point, all of us that were so concerned, we had to say, this is her love. Right. This is hers.
Right.
If she's owning it, we need to step back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, of course, you know, it came to a natural culmination, whatever that was. I'm not privy to tell you because I don't know. That wasn't my business.
Right.
But in that moment, she made it clear to us through the lyrics of a song that she needed to take this particular trip. You know, even though it may feel like love don't love nobody in that moment, mm-hmm. She knew how much she loved him, even though it wasn't good. And sometimes you just have to.
You gotta let people be who they are. And I think there's a couple of things that you said that really resonate with me is having the ability to listen, to understand, and not react. And I think for me, I've always had a calm demeanor, but life happened, right? And it put me in a situation where I was on the defensive. And so anybody who came at me in a certain tone, I was ready. Like you could just say one thing and the tone and the way it came out and you're directing it to me, I'm coming for it.
Yeah. What's that New York? I wish I would.
And I had this aggression. And I was like, yo, this is not me though. I've never really been like, when I get aggressive, you know it's bad. Somebody really fucked with me because I don't do that. Excuse my friend, I don't do that. So I realized it was the circumstances and the things around me. And I think what hurted me the most was it was people that were close to me that were the attackers, you know, as far as what their mouth and what come out their mouth. So then they didn't understand when I decided to cut you off and deal with it hard because I'm not going. One thing with me is I try to learn as I got older, watch how you say it and what you say. Because once it come out your mouth, you cannot take it back.
Right.
And people take things differently. You may hurt someone to the core with your mouth. You didn't even put your hands on them. It's your mouth. Right. And ruin a relationship. Yeah. I don't care what it is. Who you related to in the family.
And I have spent my life, the very thing that you're describing is being mindful of tone.
Right.
Okay. Because from the time I was small, because I didn't grow up in a house where people cursed and screamed and carried on. You know, if there was some hell raising going on, it was dramatic.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see that, I didn't react that way. But because I am a middle child of 7, I'm the sweet spot. Okay. I am the jelly in the bread.
Yes.
But if my nature, my temperament, as loving and generous as my energy is, when it flips, I'm the kind of person that can say something to you to make you want to kill me. I survived bullying because I could shut you down so hard.
Right.
Now you know where the Fordham extension is on 60th Street? Okay. I went to prestigious private school, professional school for children in the performing arts. I went there on scholarship.
Okay.
I finished, I literally finished middle school. You know, I was a performer, I played violin. It was very, you know, my mom taught us harmony at home because it was affordable. She didn't have to pay for music lessons and nothing like that. And, you know, my brother had a beautiful voice. We had a sibling harmony, not unlike Michael and Janet or the Osmonds, or when we would sing together, when we would clean the kitchen in the evenings, the harmonies would make my mother literally cry. When I got into that school, there were less than 5 Black students. One of them was my classmate, who was a very, very affluent young Black girl who had been taught that she was a mulatto.
Oh, okay.
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 Now I'm from basically Jamaica, Queens.
Yeah.
South side.
Outside. No.
Yeah. Jamaica funk. Jamaica funk.
That's what
this child gets me in front of our classmates. Now, meanwhile, our classmates are in the core of the American Ballet Theater. They're on Broadway. They're in soap operas. They're making commercials. They're child prodigies, on instruments, all sorts of things. This child gets me in front of these white children. And she says to me, and you guys been looking at me a little while. I was born with this smile.
Okay.
She said to me, I quote, "My father's an orthodontist. Who fixed your teeth?"
Oh.
I told you where I'm from, right? I'll tell you how I get down.
Oh.
I said to her very calmly, "God fixed my teeth like he fixed your face."
Oh.
The white children started backing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's about to go down. Let me back up.
Listen.
Wow. Okay.
May I just say, she was very blonde, sandy-ish, and you could see the red rise.
Yep.
Red. If she could have whooped me that day,
she would have tried.
Baby, she wanted to snap the taste out my mouth so bad. Let's talk about people close to you. I told one of my young relatives that we kind of was raised down in the valley. You know where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sure. She wanted to challenge me one day because, and insecurity, and always bear in mind that the person that is putting out all this toxic towards you, they basically be insecure.
Yeah.
Well, her insecurity got the better of her one day, and she decided to challenge me over her feelings. And I'm very unapologetic about how I am, who I am. You want to get it? Come for me. Run if you want some, okay?
Right.
She, she was like, "How dare you? And why are you acting that way? And, you're trying to make me think that you're better than me." I could, she started to make like a verbal threat. And I'm grown. "Oh, you grown? Okay. Tell me that when the welfare ain't your mama and your daddy." She wanted to jump on me in the street so bad. She wanted to jump on me. I said to her, "Darling," I said, "now look at me and look at you. When the police arrive, who do you think they'll arrest?" She hurried up and left me alone.
I'm done. Right. I'm out of here.
Because like Neequa, if for some reason I cut you off, I have the option of only being civil to you. I'm no longer obligated for your emotional well-being. I don't.
There you go.
I no longer. You've given me the option of not caring.
Yep.
Okay, and I remind the people. My love is like I'm going to give you a metaphor for my love. My love is like the banyan tree. It only grows in Africa and Australia, and it grows out wide enough for an entire village to live under it. That's my love. If you're beneath it, you're fully protected. If you're not, you might catch frostbite.
There you go.
And you got to do that to protect. You got to do that to protect yourself. And to
protect where the love is flowing and going to others.
Exactly.
Because those people, they don't realize how deep and how far it flows and runs. And if they don't want to be a part of it, fine.
And you can say one thing. You can say one thing and make such a difference in a person's happiness. And that very same one thing can devastate them. So be mindful of your words, mindful of your tone. So many times, listen, my eldest sister, who's a moon baby, a Cancerian, and she's very, very sensitive about tone.
Yeah.
You know, and there have been times when we've been talking and I have said to her, why are you refreshing the pain?
Mm-hmm.
And she'll say, why do you have to say it like that?
Because that's what it is.
It's deep.
Yes.
You know, it's deep. That's why I'm saying it like that.
The trauma that we all internalize, you know, reliving it without addressing it. There's a reason to relive it. The reason to relive it is to address it. And how do you want to go forward? I was talking about some trauma to my youngest sister, and she's a hood star. You know, I'm your bougie black auntie. I love her so much. Today she was showing me her brand new grill.
Okay, we got a brand new grill.
I don't mean cooking grill. I mean grill.
Grill.
You hear me say good stuff.
She went to that orthodontist.
Yes.
Girl, you know, because we're sisters, we talk, and she's very unvarnished with me, and I love her for that. You know, and we couldn't be more different, but the love is so strong. She's my baby sister. And so I was talking to her about our previous trauma, and she said to me, the thing that shocked me, that made me know how much she had grown. She said to me, did you talk to someone about that? She wanted to know if I'd gone to therapy. It was like, the last person I would have ever thought to say that to me. It made me so proud. It made me feel so good at the way she was listening to me, how she took it in, her response to me. And that's the place we need to be with each other right now. You know, as we come back, we're not going back to normal for a long time. So we need to be able to listen to how people have been feeling. We need to hear when people say, I've been anxious, I've been sad, I sleep too much, I eat too much, I drink too much, I've been blazing too much, I smoke too many cigarettes, whatever that thing is. Okay. You know, we need to be able to really be listening to people, paying attention to the people we love, you know, and find ways to engage them.
Cope.
Ways for them.
And then ways to heal, you know?
Exactly.
Ways to heal. Gosh.
Yeah.
This is such a good conversation. The comments, we normally break, and y'all, we've been on here for an hour and 22 minutes. So the comments have been just amazing. We have powerful with clapping hands. We have I love it. Yes, we do talk about it. You know, going back, let's see, my grandmother didn't allow us to even say shut up. It was be quiet. So people are relating, you know, to us throughout the conversation, setting boundaries. You know, we are always transforming. Just, you know, everybody, it's laughter in the comments. This is amazing. This, you know, I know what we came on here to talk about was this amazing project.
Yes.
But I think that how we started the conversation was to give a foundation of culture.
Yes.
Family.
Yes.
Life
community.
Skills,
Community.
The mentality.
Yes.
And what what I've recognized, the team at Universal Hip Hop Museum and even the pop-up, they've gathered all of these pieces, things that I've forgotten about. I want to talk about. I'll talk about it in a little bit because I mean, it was one of the installations just completely blew me away.
Okay.
Encased it, encapsulated it, and they're preserving it.
Yes.
You know, the same way that we should as family, as community, with tradition and culture, and so that the gift can continue to give, you know, and spread. And
educate.
And educate and provide opportunity.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
And provide opportunity.
Yeah. A part of, I mean, there's so, I want to, let's start at the beginning, because you ladies were kind enough to give me a list of things, questions and whatnot. And I'm going to address each one. And I want as much feedback from you guys. But the very first question you guys asked me was, how did I get involved with the museum? Rocky Buchanan was familiar with me from working in the record industry. Back in, I want to say, I transitioned from syndicated news. I worked at a radio news network, and then prior to that I had worked at KISS FM here in New York. Okay. And I went to the news division because I've always written, I mastered letter writing by 6. And so in terms of things that come naturally to you, that was one of the things that came naturally to me. And I was working at Universal MCA, and we had a very diverse music department. Rocky had an independent label called Strong City, and I did the press for an artist called Busy Bee, who is, you know, a very, very early hip hop artist. Neequa, I know you're familiar with who Busy Bee is. So fast forward a little bit, I got hired away from MCA Universal by Andre Harrell to be the first director of publicity at Uptown Records and Management. The first artist that we worked to break from the label was actually Heavy D. Heavy, the most wonderful person you'll ever meet. So affable, so lovable, so sweet, so funny. Yes.
Well, I think he was here because right before we started talking, I was playing, and haven't played the song in forever, but Big Daddy.
Absolutely. Yes, that's right. I'll be your big daddy. And it was an amazing time. It was an amazing time. Our in-house counsel, Robert Celestin, signed Jodeci, went down to North Carolina and signed Jodeci. Jeff Redd, who recorded I Found Loving, bought the tape of Mary J. Blige to Kurt Woodley, who in turn gave it to Andre. And this is all documented history. And it really made history in terms of the influence of the New Jack Swing era.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And consequently, as we got into about, I want to say now about 5-6 years ago, Rocky invited me to join a design cipher as we were in the preliminary stages of envisioning what the public would want in the museum. You know, our mission statement is to preserve, protect, and to present hip hop. And I went to the cipher, and of course we had breakout groups. And as it is with my ability, I was able to engage everyone, crystallize the ideas that our particular breakout session had, whiteboard them, get everyone's buy-in, their input in a really great way. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And he asked me to come and join the advisory board at that time.
That is
based on going over, because it was all recorded. When we look back at the tapes, he says, contact Renee. You know, I'd always worked in, you know, entertainment or community, and he thought I would be a good fit. And, you know, he asked me to come in, and it's been an amazing journey. Museums usually take a decade to even get started. In the case of the Universal Hip Hop Museum, it's been a very accelerated window of about, you know, 8 years or so. And we're going to break ground this summer in the South Bronx at Bronx Point, which is a waterfront development project that's going to be on the 3rd Avenue side. 125th
It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's dope. I love it. I'm so excited. Like,
I mean, what's amazing about it is that, of course, the Universal Hip Hop Museum is the final permanent museum, but the Revolution of Hip Hop that you've referenced is a temporary exhibition. It's a semi-permanent temporary exhibition that's going to remain open until 2023 when we open the official doors on the museum.
Okay, that's good to know. I was wondering, would it stay open?
Yes.
It's such a beautiful space. It's like an artifact.
It is. It is.
You know what I'm saying? It's an artifact.
Capsule. Imagine it is a capsule presentation of what you can anticipate to come. You know, we are planning, our goal is to be the smart museum of the future. And to that end, we've just made an agreement with a company called Septco to do symptom sense technologies that allow you to walk through what looks like a metal detector that will take your body temperature, measure your breath, your oxygen level, and whether or not you've got a fever.
Oh, wow.
And if you've been exposed. So as we're opening back up, and I'll share the press release with you guys if you want to talk about what we're doing to prepare.
Please do.
Yes.
Please do. This is huge to me. This conversation is in no way, shape, or form about me, you know, but my life is music and hip hop.
I hear you.
You know, I used to rhyme. You know, I found myself through music. When you said cipher, I was that teenage girl in the middle with all the dudes. You know, I got in trouble in high school because I had all the kids around me. You know, the record stores, CDs, the stereo, scratching, the attire, the way we talked, the way we walked, the way we wore our hair. I lived this culture.
And it's so influential, you know, 2023, when we open the doors to the museum, will be the 50th anniversary of the birth of hip hop culture. And we like to say, my personal motto that I always use in any correspondence is that hip hop was born in the South Bronx, but it was raised worldwide. Worldwide. And the influence of the culture, you can't deny it now. You know, however you may feel about how it has grown. But the whole point of any art form is for it to continue to grow, expand, to become more inclusive, to bring others in, and that its influence be a measure of expression for others. And that is what the museum's goal was. Now, the pop-up is located at 65 East 149th Street. Okay, all the subways go there at 4 or 5, whatever. It will take you right there. And as we're opening, we are fundraising. So, you know, our preview as of December 6th until closing for COVID, we'd had over 10,000 reservations through email RSVPs to attend the revolution of hip hop. So as we go into the summer, we're going to put in a brand new installation devoted to the 80s. We're going to do the first half of the 80s decade, which is going to be amazing. Yes. And we will probably live stream our groundbreaking. And further along this summer, there will be a virtual gala. There will be a gala that will be live streamed. People will actually pay permission, admission by making a donation. There will be a silent auction and all sorts of things. You know, museum culture is in a good pivot. You know, now we know we are also building out a virtual museum to accompany our brick and mortar museum. When I say we're going to be a smart museum in the future, you know, we have a timeline. We have a timeline. Our tech partners are Microsoft and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Center for Advanced Virtuality. You know, in the museum, you're going to be able to have an augmented reality experience where you walk through the exhibits in the museum. You're going to have a virtual reality experience where you can look at every artifact. Know who was credited, who donated it, what era it was from, who the artist was, what that thing was. I can't begin to tell you. You know, we are prepared to do social distancing. We've got the latest technology to allow everyone to be safe. It's going to be amazing. And, you know, this is the vision that came out of musing, a reflection, some nostalgia, a conversation among a group of people who were raised on hip hop. You know, Rocky was a street DJ with DJ Pete Nice, DJ Pete, in the Bronx in the late 70s.
Yeah.
So this isn't someone, you know, he ran Rowdy Records for Dallas Austin. You know, of course, I tell you about his own independent label, Strong City. His vision for this culture was to protect it for all of us. You know, there's hardly anyone, in my estimation, who isn't what I call a stakeholder. We all own a piece of it. There's no one that does not have a favorite song, or know a lyric, or have been influenced in some way, whether it's their style, their language. You know, I've always said we influence the cultures in ways that we are not conscious of. I want you to think about the language of hip hop that has become a part of the lingua franca, meaning the larger language of the world.
Right.
I wish I had been Lil Wayne and had trademarked the word bling. Trademark that word. Do you know his children will be rich, and their children, and their children, and their children, and their children into perpetuity?
Yes.
Forever, ever, ever, ever.
Forever, ever.
Exactly. And so when I urge people to donate to this institution, I code switch and I go back to the language of the culture, because however I need to convince you of the value of what's been created by the disenfranchised voices of people that have been marginalized.
Yeah.
You know, when people were talking about gangster rap, they've dismissed the fact that Ice Cube saying F the police was about the police violence in our communities. Now we have perspective about those sorts of things. So when I speak about the culture, I may speak this way to you right now, but I have no problem flipping it and saying, you down, you need to put 5 on it.
Right.
Because I understand you, and I know you understand me.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is dope, because for me, I'm a child of hip hop. Like, I grew up in the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? I remember they call them jams back in the day. But they used to have the huge jams out in the parks. They used to be out in co-op. They would bring, like, I literally see people bringing the crates, the DJ equipment, and the whole community would come out and support. And I like that, you know. So the fact that they're putting all of this in a time capsule where I can bring my children, so they can see the history, because I think the problem is a lot of them don't know what we had to do. And I say we, because it was all of us as a community, because we contributed by buying records and things of that nature. But what we had to do just to be mainstream, we weren't on award shows. We weren't even on the radio. We had to listen to us on underground stations. Literally had to stay up till 12, 1 o'clock at night.
There you go.
Listen to our music.
You know, let me tell you something. What's beautiful about that is I remember very, very well being at the label, and they were kind of like surprised at my willingness to engage college radio. You know, you could be a little nobody. You literally could be a little nobody. Point in fact, Dave Mays and Jonathan Schechter would contact me from Boston. They had a little newsletter called The Source. And I would send them 12-inch records. I was a lowly assistant. I was working for 2 powerhouse women, learning my trade. Having coming out of the newsroom, I switched from the journalism side to the publicity media relations side. So there was a learning curve. And although I had, you know, different types of experience, I was watching pros.
Yep.
And, you know, when Jonathan Schechter and Dave Mays came to New York to start the Source magazine, I was one of the people that believed in the vision of what they wanted to do, to have a magazine devoted to the culture, because I've always looked at the creativity. You know, I love the language.
Yeah.
And my ear for the language of hip hop was always about the lyricism, the simile, the metaphor, the couplet. You know, speaking as someone who loves the language that writes, I listened with a very different kind of critical ear from being English honors. As you know, I would tease my hood sister and say, you know, I'm street adjacent.
I love that. Oh my God, it's awesome.
Because once again, that you know, my juvenile delinquent older brother had a feeling that I was an egghead and I was very nerdish, and you know, he knew how much I loved books and he knew how much I loved all of the academics. Yes. But he had a fear that I would be naive and that I would not have my sense about myself to navigate these New York streets.
There you go.
So, you know, it was important to him that contrasting, you know, my natural inclination to academia, language and language arts and all of that, that I'd be able to roll out and roll deep.
Yes.
You know, if I had to. And so when I use the vernacular to make my point, I remind people that we change the language. When you listen to marketing, when you listen to an ad that may not have anything to do with the culture, you will hear our language. You will hear our phraseology. You will hear the power of our influence.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
I like to say they want our, no, I believe, no, I'm going to quote Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Yeah,
come on with it.
They want our rhythm, but not our blues.
Ooh. Yes, that is so true, man. That is so true, because if you look,
literally,
I'm just, this is just real common. Throw this out there, right? We always worry about how we wear our hair, right? Braids, different things of that nature, right? Okay. We always, oh, why do you have that in your hair? Well, that's not corporately appropriate, right? But then you have people that they cornrows is cool, and they wear it, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, they invented it. Oh, this is cool. Like, first of all, let's back it up. Let's back it up.
Yeah.
You do your research. Everybody want to Google-ish. Google it. If you do your research, you will see where this came from. Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't just come overnight. And now it's cool and it looks good. Yeah. But when we wear it, you know what I'm saying? And then from the hair to the lips to the butt, you know what I'm saying? You want to sit here and get a whole body to look like something that back in the day when we was growing up, that was being considered fat. Yeah. We didn't like that. That's too, what is that back there? That's disgusting, you know? But now you killing yourself to get that look.
Well, you know, it's about appropriation. It's about appropriation. And I don't listen, don't make me get historical on it.
You know what? If you gotta take it there, take it there. We're all
okay. Okay. Everyone is familiar with the Venus Hottentot. This is a Black woman they kidnapped from Africa and they put her on display.
Yes.
Sweetie, why do you think the Victorians created a bustle? The bustle to go on the back of their
dress?
Because baby had back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So whenever I see the appropriation of Black beauty, okay. Whenever I see the appropriation of Black beauty, you know what I think? Well, why wouldn't you want to be me?
Exactly.
I'm on it like that. You know, listen. I'm taste is choice. Some people are fine and that's your taste. Some people are people's choice, meaning everyone thinks they're beautiful. Everyone thinks they're fine. Okay. I'm good with what the gene pool gave me because my identity is deeper than my surface. But the appropriation of Black beauty speaks volumes about the I word, the insecurity.
Yeah.
Why am I so insecure? that I need butt implants to feel womanly. What am I missing that they have? That if I was maybe just a little tanner, my favorite part, I look at them, all cornrowed up and
tanned up.
And I'm a terrible person because you know what I'm thinking in my mind? Darling, you can't get black by injection.
No,
you can't.
You can't. I don't care how many black men you love. You can't get black by injection. And I'm not talking about a hypodermic. Because I have literally walked into a room and women that emulate us and want to co-opt us, I can walk in with a push-up bra and suddenly they're like,
yeah,
And I'm listen. And I really wish that, women felt better.
Yes.
Just felt better, just felt, stronger. And this is how I am in the world, who I am in the world.
Exactly.
I wish women did that, because of the way I was raised in my crazy mind. Imagine this. In the snapshot of the world, which is a big old fisheye lens, right? There's everybody in the photograph.
Right.
I'm standing, Naomi Campbell is on one side and Tyra Banks is on the other. And they don't push me out the frame. No. You look at the picture, you still see me. I know it's silly, but I want to be, the happiest me.
Right.
And yes, maybe I will amuse myself by telling myself something silly like that.
Right.
But if it makes my confidence feel better,
right,
I'll tell myself something silly like that. I may put on my sunglasses and open up my front door and say, alert the media.
Yes.
Ain't nobody looking for me. But the feeling of saying, I step out my door and I step into the world and it awaits me. It ain't got nothing to do with what I got on.
Right.
I don't own anything really designer because I don't think I can buy anything that will convey to you my spirit.
Right.
Okay.
That is so deep.
No. There's nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
There's nothing I can ever buy that would make you feel my love.
Yeah.
Nothing. They haven't made it yet. They really haven't. I don't have a designer purse and I don't have Les Boutons or Jimmy Choo's, anything. I'm pretty obnoxious about the vision of others. I can admire your vision greatly, but do I necessarily need to fund your vision to make myself have a status? I don't think so. Not really.
Become their brand.
Right. No.
Negative.
Yeah.
Be your own brand. I think, I mean, we need to be able to, that's why I like this platform that we have, because I would like to show these kids and people, and even people our age, or older, just, it doesn't define you,
we're taught that things, once you achieve a certain level that you can possess things.
Right.
Yeah. Let me say this to you. When you really think about it, it's needs versus wants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've never had a lot of wealth. I come from a big family. So one of the things I had to learn early was, do you really want to exist in a state of constantly wanting something? I mean, is the thing you want, you know how it is, be careful what you ask for.
Yep.
Think about it. Is wanting it gonna make you jump higher?
It's a vicious cycle because it doesn't, and you continue, your life becomes this path of just collecting collectibles, and people, I don't want to say everyone that's like that, but your peers, whoever you're inspiring, whoever your family, they already love you. You've already inspired them. You've already connected.
Yes.
Right.
You're doing that because that's something that you want to do.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have to.
You really
Right.
don't. You really don't. My younger brother once said to me, you're the only person I know that does everything they say they want to do. You know, because he was watching me struggle to get some education. He was watching me, you know, trying to work to support myself. And, you know, he knew my mindset. He knew that I wouldn't take much from others. I wouldn't place myself in a scenario where I became beholden to a partner. I'd never lived in an apartment until I left my parents' home, and I have been living in the apartment that I have now since 1985. And so he saw the stability, and he saw, you know, me trying to push myself. You know, I think that, you know, when everybody has a little breakthrough they want to have, you know, I want to go to the next level of whatever that is. You know, I want to be better at doing a particular thing. You know, it's different for everybody. We all have kind of little benchmarks we want to make and meet. And he was like, you said you wanted to go to school, you did that. You said you wanted your own apartment, you did that. You said you wanted to travel, you're doing that. You're the only person I know. Well, sometimes you have to speak the things you want, the things you believe in, into being. But just a thing.
Yeah.
The extreme of that is someone that hoards. And the other side of that is someone who somehow believes their possessions define them. And that's sad. Because if you think your house or your car, because, you know, famous American designer interior, the first great American interior designer was named Elsa DeWolf. And one of her quotes was, "There are no pockets on a shroud."
Nope.
So no matter what you acquire,
then it can't go with you.
Not only will
you not go with you.
Yeah, not only will you not take it with you, but those very people you wanted to impress with it will likely fight over it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And they're gonna talk about you while they're taking
Good
your shot.
job, please. They're gonna be at the funeral talking about, oh, you know, that person looked good in the casket. Oh, they look like they was asleep. Did you see so-and-so's wife, ex-wife?
Oh God.
Please, you know, the Black community is missing funerals. So many of our elders died alone in the COVID era.
Yes,
haven't been
that was a major thing we've been talking about, Shaniqua and I.
We have not been able to send people home to glory.
Yeah.
We have not broke bread at the repast.
Yeah.
We have not compared notes. How are you?
Yeah.
How's mom? You know, where your brother?
Because a lot of time the funeral becomes the family reunion. You know, and I don't downplay it.
Yeah.
You know, but sadly, that's what takes place.
Today we don't really gather until someone dies.
Right.
We really don't gather until someone dies. And I'm kind of, you know, and another thing, and this is just my pet peeve, all of those baby reveals and crazy mad over the top showers. I think about, I would take a little of that money and put it in a 529 savings plan for the one coming. You know, I see, you know, huge rental halls and lots of elaborate decorations, and I love it. It's beautiful. It's a celebration. It's a joyous thing. But when you're making a memory, it's like everything else. You want something lasting beyond that memory.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree 100%. You know, like you said, it's beautiful. Some of them are so extravagant, but
it's
you know, you can do the same thing with some balloons at Party City, you know, and some creativity, and put those funds where they really are going to make sense.
Listen, the best birthday party I ever had, I was 11 years old, and we were in North Carolina. My grandparents have a farm about 85 acres right outside of Greensboro, in a very, very small town.
Yes.
My mama, my birthday is April 22nd, and she said, if you wait a few weeks, I will throw you the biggest birthday party in the yard.
Okay.
Well, what kind of party are you going to throw in the yard? You know, me over here.
Yeah.
She says, I'm going to throw you a weenie roast.
Okay.
Girl, my mama made me a fresh strawberry shortcake, threw me a weenie roast, a galvanized tin tub, and she made about 50 gallons of lemonade.
Oh.
I mean, just ripping and running in the yard in my grandmama's front yard.
Mm-hmm.
There was no balloons, streamers, DJ. There was no. It was just kids and cake and fun.
And fun.
And you know, I look at parents going to give their money to Chuck E. Cheese and how to get the carrying on up in there because the baby mamas don't like each other and all of that. And
you end up spending all that money, all that effort, all that time to deal with ungrateful drama.
But no, just unhappy, unhappy about the circumstances. Let me say this to you. You may not want to clean your house and entertain your children in your home. I understand that. I do. But we can all be better on behalf of our children.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
You come from a blended family. You know, you may not necessarily care about a person. You may be at odds with someone. This is very often in family dynamics. This is not news. This is not news. But on that given day, how do you want to appear before your children? That's all.
Right.
That's just how do you want to appear before your children?
Right.
You know, I don't ever want a child to look at me and say, "Oh my God, why did you do that? Would you do that? No, why would you do that in front of me? You did that in front of me." That to me, that's my personal. That is horrifying that any child would ever look at me and say, "I saw you." My worst nightmare. My worst nightmare.
And you know, it's crazy. It was not crazy. It's good that you say that because there's a lot of parents, people out there who will do things in front of their children or have things in front of them and be like, "Oh, well, I'm liberal. I let my kids know what's going on or whatever." And it's like, that's cool, but I don't. So, you know, that's where you draw the line. Yes, I'm very transparent with my children. I talk to them about a lot of things, probably more than my parents talk to me about. And it was nothing against my parents by any means. They did the best that they could, and they did a really good job with what information and resources they had. See, their parents talked to them like that, so they were doing what they were taught.
Well, you know, yeah, my parents would say, you know, when you know better, you do better.
Right.
But there's and I mean, and this crosses socioeconomic lines. You know, if your children believe you're a friend, if you're liberal to the point where your children don't regard your authority, this is the issue. And we need to understand that your children shouldn't be around people whose values you just don't agree with.
Right.
And that's not, you know, like you might love your cousin.
Mm-hmm.
You want your child to visit your cousin? Are you concerned about how your child will be supervised around a particular person?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
don't,
you know what I mean? Out of love and respect for that person, let them hang out around you and your child.
Yes.
Okay. I had a bunch of godmothers. You know, I had a bunch of godmothers, but these was, you know, church ladies and big mamas and whatnot. And you know, one lady I'll never forget, I love her to pieces, Miss Hannah Brown. Miss Hannah Brown was loving on my uncle, but my uncle was Mr. Popularity, even though he was a paraplegic in a wheelchair. Okay. And so her way to extend, you know, communicating with him, coming around the family, you know, she took a liking to me. And as someone in the village, she was respected. She was older. She was my parents' peer. She, interestingly enough, lived in Corona, Queens. And to this day, I still don't know the nationality of her partner, her man. I don't know man was. He might have been Italian. He might have been Greek. And it was olive. He could have been black. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because his racial identity was unclear to me. I know that he was extremely devoted to her. This woman cleaned houses for a living, but her house was all French provincial with ivory brocade, everything under plastic. And my parents felt very fortunate that she wanted, to be with me. And they felt that as a part of the village, she was the person that they never had to be concerned of her behavior, her attitude, her values. This is a reason today to be mindful of who your children are around. Don't allow sleepovers. Don't allow other people's children to sleep over in your house. They may not have your values. They may not do what you do. Listen, here in New York, I've been an American host family for children that come, for young people, young adults that come to New York to study English. And I'll never forget it. I took a 16-year-old Russian girl. This girl cried and carried on and cut the fool until her daddy bought her a gaming computer that would allow her to talk online with her friends back in Moscow. But she was being forced to come to New York to study English for the summer. This girl wanted me to take her to Ulta. I took her to Ulta. She wanted to buy a bunch of makeup, and I said, pick out what you want. You got money? When she realized how much it really cost, she put 2/3 of it back. Point is, this child didn't bathe. She's a 16-year-old girl. And she come out of her bedroom completely in full makeup. And I don't believe she hardly bathed when she was here. And she was just here I think she was just here for like 6 weeks or something like that. And you know what I told myself? If your mama didn't train you, your mama don't live here. You are safe and you will eat. It is up to you to be clean. Your hygiene is personal. I never challenged her. I never questioned her. You know what I mean? I treated her with the respect I felt a 16-year-old girl deserved, who separated from parents. All her friends were in Russia. But I was in no way trying to impose my values on her.
Right.
But her parents, on the other hand, they came back to New York a year or two later after she had stayed with me. And they invited me to come to lunch with them to thank me. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I said. I don't know. Maybe it was the way I treated her. My first tendency is kindness. But apparently she went home and she raved about being here. Happy to get to know someone Black. Yeah. Just an experience she hadn't expected.
Yes, of course. Of course. What year was this?
This is 2020. I believe Yulia, which is Julia, anglicized. Yulia had to be here. If this is 2020, I believe Yulia may have been here the summer of 2016.
Okay.
15, 16.
Okay.
But I had a lot of Japanese kids. One of my favorite kids, and this is about the culture. I had a young man, talented young man, loved hip hop, was Suguru Nukai from Tokyo, Japan. Very, very brilliant student, was here in New York studying English, but he had a job translating for one of Japan's largest ad agencies. He came to me, he was 40 days away from turning 21. And Japanese boys can be notorious. They like to drink. And I said to him the day he arrived, when I looked at his age and saw when his birthday was, I said, for the next 30 days, I'm your mother. You don't have a curfew, but you are accountable to me. I must know where you are at all times.
Right.
And you must not make me worry. If you're going to be late, you tell me. If you want to go out with your friends, you tell me before you go. You text me, don't make me worry. The boy was so lovely. I thanked his parents. I sent them a note and thanked them. When he comes to New York, I have to take him to Harlem. When he comes to New York, I have to take him to the Met Museum.
Yes.
I have a board, a post-it board in the kitchen. I have so many love letters for great, delicious meals. Thank you for being so nice to me. During Superstorm Sandy, I had a young lady here from Switzerland, and her parents were very, very concerned about her, rightfully.
Yeah.
And, they actually sent her aunt. Well, they didn't send her aunt. Her aunt was coming to the States to rock climb on holiday in Denver, and she had a layover. She arranged to have a layover of 2 or 3 days. And she stayed here in New York, and I invited her to brunch so she could see her niece, to see where her niece was living, since they were very concerned about, what was happening during Sandy. Well, honey, I served that woman a Dutch baby pancake and a bottle of Chardonnay. Okay. My sister and brother-in-law, look, I want to stay with this lady.
I don't want to leave. I'm good.
Once again, like you say about the village, all children deserve to be made to feel they are valued and loved.
Absolutely.
How you do that, I tell the little ones, I don't do hair torture. I don't do food torture. You will never be forced to eat anything you don't like. And I will not torture you about your hair, because look at mine. I make it very clear to them that, I want to engage you in a way that respects your humanity as a small person, not as an adult. I want to, remember that I'm not talking to an adult. I want to treat you with the respect that you should have, so that you know to respect yourself.
Exactly.
I love that. So, kids, they step out of line, more so girls. We raise girls. Neequa got a little one now. We talk about it all the time. How they insert themselves, and but if you recognize that, or if you come up with a plan that I'm gonna allow this child to have this freedom, I'm gonna allow myself to respect them in this way, but then set your boundaries. It's good.
It is.
It's fair.
It's good and it's fair. There are lots of times where my parents shocked me being progressive. There are a lot of times I did not agree. As I've grown as an adult, I've understood more about their choices. And I read somewhere once that, when you're a parent, eventually one day your children will judge you. And if you're lucky,
they will. They do.
And if you're lucky, they forgive you. And I decided that I was forgiving my parents everything. Whatever they did, I forgave them everything. Because I knew they were young. I knew they didn't do bad for what they did.
Right.
When I look at all of us, and I look at, the ones that survived and that have gone on, relative to all the things you can do to enrich your children's lives, whether that's a museum, whether that's a day on a park bench, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Right.
I was once, you remember when the Village Voice was like the alternative newspaper here in New York City. And many years ago, I remember hanging out with my dad. We would meet at a beautiful park in the neighborhood, Baisley Park out in Jamaica, Queens. It's got a big man-made lake. And I was reading aloud to him a lengthy article about Jesse Jackson's love child from the Village Voice. And he taught me to read. He taught me to read before I was school age. I was reading about 4 or 5. So reading aloud to him was like big joy. That's something we love to do, because he would say, "What are you reading? You reading something good?" Because he encouraged my love of books. He gave me all of his Philip Marlowe mysteries. And these are dime store mysteries. He gave me Agatha Christie. He gave me amazing Westerns in little paperback form. So my thirst and love for reading came from that. And I remember reading that day from the Village Voice. And you know how on your rearview mirror it says objects are closer than they actually appear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The people that were sitting near us, it suddenly looked like they was all on the same bench with us.
Wow.
The mere fact that I was a daughter in the park with her dad reading aloud to him was so compelling.
Mm-hmm.
That little thing. I said, I'm just reading because his glasses. He don't have his glasses. He can't read this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just made everybody happy.
Yeah.
Like, wow. You know, and they would tease me, say, we gonna see you on TV? You gonna read the news for us? You know, black folk.
Yeah.
And it was,
I love it.
you know, a sweet memory when I reflect on that. And I think about, like I said, the good thing he taught me to read, you know, reading aloud to him, you know, being in a green space, all those things. You know, today we are reminded that the least of us in our communities is suffering because of systemic inequality and racism, bad healthcare, underfunded schools. We can look at the various comorbidities of dysfunction, neglect, abuse, all those things. But think about who we should be helping. How can we help?
Right.
Who can we lift up, and what do we have at our disposal?
Yeah.
Right.
To help.
I just to I wanted to, while we're talking about that, touch on as far as, because the Universal Hip Hop Museum does a lot for the community, and there's a with schools being virtual right now, and you know, things of that nature. I know that I read something where you guys team up with certain schools and organizations to build a curriculum to help children with certain resources, because a lot of these kids in these neighborhoods lack a lot and need, I mean, they have all the potential if they just had the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like on top of everything else is the opportunity, because you're bringing jobs to the South Bronx, you're bringing opportunity, you're bringing, actually, it's going to be like a center for kids to come and learn something and be changed by it.
In addition to us, we have the Bronx Children Museum, which will also be, you know, a part of that development space and whatnot. And I'm so glad that you touched on that, because we are chartered by the New York State Department of Education. We have an official curriculum that has been taught in the middle schools in a pilot program there in the Bronx. Additionally, we are affiliated with the Hip Hop Education Center founded by Martha Diaz, who is, you know, educator, who has created programming. And to add a piece that I know that you're gonna love, I'm a part of an alliance of arts organizations that are coming together for the summer to offer virtual arts programming and workshops to all the city kids that got laptops and got permission to study online through schools. We're about to mount a large-scale campaign to have all the parent coordinators inform parents that free summer programming is going to be available to prevent the further brain drain.
Yeah.
And even for parents that weren't necessarily engaged, for kids that didn't get online and really, really do the homeschooling, you know, not every parent was built for homeschooling, and we're aware of that. But I believe that if we can engage kids around hip hop curricula, the 5 elements offer, and everyone knows what the 5 elements are: graffiti, boying, you know, DJing, breaking, and the 5th and final is the knowledge. So, you know, we're going to offer free virtual workshops, classes, lectures, all of that all summer long. I'm about to do testimony in front of the New York City Council for the Cultural Affairs Committee, led by Councilman Jimmy Van Bramer. We've been working very, very hard to get all of this programming in place before the official end of the school year, so that parents are aware that there's programming available. Baby, I'm getting ready to get teaching artists paid $100 an hour to do this work. If you are a teaching artist of any form and you're affiliated with our art and museum, we're going to hire you. We're going to work with the Summer Youth Employment Program. As you know, with social distancing, those opportunities for young people to do the kind of consumer facing work that they formerly did with, day camps and things like that, they're going to be kind of limited. So we are creating ways to provide access for young people to learn coding. This is why we have so much technology partners and all of that. This is so big.
What platform will that be available on? Will it be through the .org, or are you going to launch through the New York school system?
I believe I believe because we are affiliated with the Department of Youth and Community Development, as well as the Department of Education, we will rely on their portal that students are allowed to go on. They've already got admin access to do their studies. So this is a very simple segue, using the very same access that they have right now. We don't have to turn the Titanic to do this, which is why, and we've created this Arts Alliance of institutions all over the city. And I'd have to say, honestly, about 10 days to be ready for
I believe it. When I visited, I was one of those 10,000 reservations for the revolution of hip hop, and I was extremely impressed. Not only was Rocky Bucano there and greeted me at the door, I had no idea who he was at the time, but as I walked out, I was like, I'm so honored, But he guided me to the technology. That was my first station.
Yes.
And, just to let everybody know that's listening in that haven't had a chance to visit yet, you go over there, you answer a couple of questions, and it developed a playlist, which is music therapy. That's one of the offerings we want to offer our attendees when they attend our JourneyRight retreat is music therapy. And I was able to kind of plug in and listen to my jams, and it put a smile on my face, and it felt good. And then I was greeted by the 5 elements, right thereafter. But the technology was just
amazing.
And I look forward. I was Rocky's son kind of guided us through and walked us through the experience. And he informed us of all of the technology and all of the interaction that's going to take place on the museum level once that's built. And it was so inspiring. And I was blown away. I was like, I can't wait to bring my kids back. I'm telling everybody.
We've had so many dedicated visitors come away with a sense of the importance of the impact of the culture.
Absolutely.
Listen, I went back to school after working 20 plus years. I went back to NYU. I had a classmate from the UK who I refer to as an English rose. This is a woman of a certain age, classy, very, and we were in a study group one night, and we were tense. This English rose, as blonde and as alabaster as they come, got up and dropped the lyrics word for word.
I knew you were going to say that.
A Baby Got Back.
Yes. That's an anthem. That's an anthem.
From that day on, I was like, the power of hip hop, the power to laugh, the power to build up, the laughter, the power to inspire, to break the tension, to bring the party, to make you feel good, all those things. It's not all. And yes, as male dominated as it is, as misogynistic as it has been, you know, the violence portrayed in the lyrics, the street life tales, all of that stuff is just one small part of the inspiration.
Yeah. Yes, it's definitely.
I know
it's definitely inspired me. Like me and Toyia talk about all the time. Like, I'm excited. I know some people look at me like, "What's wrong with this chick?" Like, it's not really that big of a deal. But I'm like, I don't think you understand. And I get people who grew up in music, like the way we feel, like music brings us to life.
Absolutely.
I think we understand. I think some people, maybe they're not good, and maybe they're not hip hop fans. I don't know. But
well, here is something. Right. Here is. I was waiting for this moment.
Okay.
To say this. I gotta say this. Okay. You know, I'm walking through and I get to this casing and there are flyers in the casing that was our way of letting the community know of specific events, DJ battles, dance battles. We created flyers and I forgot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was born in the 80s, so I'm looking forward to the next installation or presentation that they do. But to be in that 70s one and to see those flyers, it reminded me of pre-computer, pre-cell phone.
Analog.
We created fonts with a pen and a Sharpie. We bolded, it was our language. It was the way that we transcribed. I stood there and I almost started crying. I forgot.
Remember how those flyers were reminiscent of graffiti styles. When you think about the size, the types of fonts that were created, much of that now is a part of graphic design. Much of what the kids that tag trains in the Bronx, train yards, the kids that tag the trains out of the, Queensbridge kids that came out of the projects that would, tag the train lines that were in and around Astoria and places like that. So once again, when you think of fine art, think about artists that came up, cut their eye teeth in hip hop, but crossed over because artistically they were brilliant. Such as Jean-Michel Basquiat. Basquiat is a perfect example of one of those kids knocking around on the Lower East Side. There was a time when pre-bottle service, where all the bouncer had to do was think you were cool enough,
right?
Pop those C clips for you.
Yeah,
that's all you had to do. You know what I mean? You didn't have to roll with your crew deep. You didn't have to do anything but have your own cool factor going on.
Yes,
and you might be in a club with Andy Warhol or Grace Jones, or any of the Ramones or Punkers or whomever, because I saw Madonna at the Danceteria.
Oh man!
See, those are the days that I think the kids these days are gonna miss, because we were just talking about how it would be nothing like seeing MC Light. Like I remember being MC Light. Like, we were going to the movies. MC Light, we're standing in line getting our tickets. She's talking. We just conversating. But you can't. I feel like it's not gonna be. It's not the same. It's not gonna be that way. Like, I'm glad that I was able to experience that, because right now it's just not gonna be that.
Social media has changed that experience. More often than not, you hope that the person that you follow on social media is actually authentic,
right?
And that's something that our children have to cope with in their culture, because who's sincere, who's really authentic, who's a colleague of mine recently sent me a photo of another colleague, and it was a beautiful photo. And I wrote her back and I said, "It's lovely, but I don't set thirst traps." I don't set thirst traps, just like I don't have tattoos. Why? It's very simple. I never sent out my representative self. I show up.
I'm
And
there.
I teach young people, it's particularly girls I see tatted up. I said, I'm going to tell you why Miss Renee. Because, when I want to refer to myself in the third person, I say Miss Renee. It's kind of like Miss Otis Regrets. It's a certain kind of woman. I said to them, the reason why I don't have tattoos is because if you get lucky enough to get naked with me, you will not be distracted by illustrations.
Oh, that's so good.
Why would I want ink on my skin? I think about the rainbow that we are. And although, yes, I am an ornamental woman, I'm decorative. This is why I paint my lips and have on earrings and all that. Yes, I do. I am decorative in that way and ornamental. Yes, but whatever you want to call it, wherever it comes from, I just feel that how I came here, I can only improve on it. I don't know that commemorating anything on my skin is gonna make it better.
That's definitely a point. Definitely a point to consider. People kind of like bully each other if you ain't got no tattoo, like you ain't,
that happened to me, but for me personally, I don't like needles. So that's what held me back is the needles. I was afraid. I was frightened. I was afraid. Growing up in the 80s, and seeing certain things, like I don't want to kind of like really put it out there, but you see certain things, you see people using and things of that nature. It put fear in me. That was just me and what I experienced. So when I ask people, I'm like, I've seen needles and it's scary to me,
And they coming up in Castle Hill, Soundview. Listen, a needle is associated with negative things, and for most of us, any kind of needle, I don't care if it's got ink in it, is associated with pain or whatever. And I hear people say, "Oh, after you get the first one, you get hooked, and this, that, and the other." Well, who wants to feel that? Like I said, darling.
I'm just a chicken. It's painful.
I'm worse because I think about my complexion from my head to my toe.
Yeah.
Listen, I was a rusty little girl with ashy legs.
I'm gonna say your brother. Your brother had to be on top of you.
Girl. I'm telling you, he used to make me pull my socks up from sliding under my heel with my ashy legs. So, it's a point of pride for me to, to do the self-love of grooming, the time and the care. Very often I hear people say, well, I have to be comfortable. I had a lovely, lovely friend who's gone on to glory who said she was just like, if she was clean, she was enough. I was like, you're never groomed. You're just clean. You're not groomed. And she would say, you making me crazy. You gonna make me wear lipstick. I was like, yeah, you coming with, you're gonna put on some lipstick at least.
Put on some lipstick, please.
Just put on some lipstick. You don't have to do a lot, but you're gonna do that for me if you want me to. She would say, oh, come keep my company. Go out there. I said, do you have lipstick in your purse? I would say that first. I said, do you have any lipstick in your purse?
My grandma's like,
oh, why? I said, shall I bring mine? And so Oprah coined the term slumpadinka. I'm not slumping around. I am not slumping around because like my mama said, it's never a bad day to look good. And being comfortable isn't an excuse to not love yourself, to not care for yourself, to not show up for yourself.
Right.
Okay. Everyone say, oh, women dress for each other. Yeah, we do.
We do.
I need you to look at me. I want to be admired, darling.
I love it. I need to come to the gala, the virtual gala. I need to see. You need to have a virtual outfit. We need to see this in action.
But I think it'll be fun. In my imagination, girl, I'm so crazy. I would put on my evening gown to get on the Zoom call. Put it together.
Yeah.
And everything.
Listen, if I thought it would matter, I'd have on something floor length because I'm that chick and I got a dress.
Yes. And you gonna have your shoes on. So
yes. So we have so much to be excited about. And I know the times are tumultuous and uncertain, but we got.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think our hardest show was last week. We did it on a Sunday, and we were kind of thankful that it just kind of happened that it wasn't on Friday because it was just such an intense week. And we didn't really know how to come on and have a conversation about finances and budgeting and buying a house and, and drinking sea mossaritas. But we have a duty, and I think we understand what our duty is. We're going through pain. We understand we have to go through this pain together. And the cool thing and the great and amazing thing is we're going through it together.
Yes.
We have to be knowing and understanding that we're making a difference, but our foundation has to continually be taken care of while everything is going on. And that is everything from your wellness to your motherhood, your business. We still need to make sure, as hard as what we're going through, as much as we're seeing on the news, as much as every time we open up our phone, these are still things that we need to be taken care of on the forefront. Even having a conversation about the Universal Hip Hop Museum, we're donating left and right. I find myself, I'm buying T-shirts and buying sweatshirts and donating here and signing this petition there and signing this petition there because it's my duty, But to be able to come on tonight and talk about the Museum of Hip Hop, we have to continue to educate our children. We have to continue to make sure the culture is available to our friends and family. We're still going to travel. Once this is over, we're traveling. We have people in the comments now. They're like, another trip? They ready to go to New York. We have a trip planned for Atlanta, and they're like, oh, another trip. We're going to the Hip Hop Museum. And I'm typing, I'm like, yeah, it's going down. This will not, I don't want to say this will pass, because I want everything that we're going through to mean more than it will pass.
And learn from it. I want to learn from this.
Right.
Because I think the problem in the past is that we didn't really learn from it. We still were making the same mistakes over and over again. And I think we need to learn from this. And then to piggyback off of what Toyia said, at the same time, we need to educate our people. We're lacking we're lacking the resources and the education on investments.
Right.
Owning something, being productive and contributing to society. And this is a big thing that I see a lot. You make it. And when you mean make it, for whatever standard it is, you make it. But you leave the community and you don't go back and help out your community. Yeah. But that's where you came from. That community made you, but you leaving it to go somewhere else when you have the resources to provide to your community. And it starts with the politicians. Get the right politicians in there to help the community. Get the ones that live in your community, that's taking the subways with you, getting on that bus and living, because they are more relatable. Okay.
About the power of that, I want to say something about the power of what you've just said. Each of us has an obligation to look back. Whether it's a friend, a family, an organization, whether it's a personal cause, something. I don't care if you hand out water bottles at the marathon. That is a way of giving back.
Absolutely.
There's no measurement of how you should, what you should. Someone that's worked really hard to achieve success may not feel they know the right way to give back. But the moment that you feel disconnected from the society, or you need the culture to support you, particularly as a celebrity, that is when you remember where it comes from.
Yep.
notice how carefully I'm saying this, because I'm not about calling out anyone. I'm not, criticizing what people do with their wealth.
Right.
I'm not saying that at all. But I'm gonna put it to you like Rihanna did when she accepted her Image Award this year. Pull up.
So proud of her.
Pull up.
Oh, we've been hashtagging pull up left and right,
Pull up.
Yes.
Just like my white neighbor came over here today because he knows I cooked dinner on Sunday. He knows I live a certain way here. He know I ain't a broke killer bee. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the way each of us has to think about our self-care is the very way they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to think of that as a metaphor, because Black women do the heavy lifting when it comes to healing and teaching and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not overstating the case when I say that, because I had a young South Asian woman from India tell me that, and I believe she was from Delhi, big city, modern girl.
Right,
okay.
right.
She said to me that there is a perception in the big cities in India that if you get to come to the States, learn what you need to do, because when you get to the States, it's going to be a Black woman to teach you how to do it if you don't know how. And you better hope she's nice.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Wow.
That's huge.
Yes.
That's big.
Wow.
That's a perception of Black women's power around the world to lead and teach. And depending on your style, how you may be perceived, but it's understood that that's what we do. It's just what we do.
I'm like letting that resonate.
And I want people to listen to that, because we underestimate
our own selves.
Our own self. We play ourselves down all the time too, because we feel like we just play it down because we just want to be neutralized. We don't want to make no waves. We don't want to be.
We've been taught to not shine too hard.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We've been taught to not shine too hard. Once again, the history. The reason why women learned to wrap their hair once we were out of Africa, talking about geles and turbans and scarves and all of that stuff. We did all that at home. That's what the ancestors, that's our tradition. Mm-hmm. But there was an ordinance introduced in New Orleans because Black women were so amazing to look at. They were forced to cover their hair.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So never forget. And this is my opinion, and I might be wrong.
But never forget the power that you have in you. And I think that's the problem. They want to take the power away from us by tearing us down and not providing us, we need to provide our own, but we don't. They think by taking and putting certain things in our community is going to tear us down, and we won't be able to get up out of it to provide a better situation for us and our family. And they constantly try to, keep us down. But I think with this whole situation here, and you see people not just in the 50 states, we're talking overseas, people seeing that there are Black people overseas. There are colored people who are fighting for their lives overseas. I think I saw something where it said Brazil, there's a Black person in Brazil that's killed like every 45 minutes or something of that nature, which is ridiculous. But they're not the only ones. And what we need to see is we're stronger together. We're all over. All we got to do is connect. That's all we got to do. And I just think that we need to be a little bit more stronger, substantial, to be focused on what is at play. Do not get distracted by all this other BS, and don't allow, this is the one thing I respected about when Mother was growing up with the Black Panthers and stuff like that. They protected their communities.
Yeah, they did.
Not one person come up in that community that didn't belong to drop anything off, whether it was a brick, a gun, a human that didn't belong, anything. It was like, who are you? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Especially if you're here to destroy. I'm not saying, people that are coming to break bread, they can't. But I'm just saying, to destroy a community like they've been doing and take, you destroy and take everything. We create, you take.
Well, we were talking earlier about how the appropriation of the culture, how they want our rhythm and not our blues, and thinking of all of that. Y'all know I'm on some mess, because in my mind, everybody wants to be adjacent to a Black woman. Everybody. And in my experience, I've had women of all stripes really want to be in proximity to me. We don't know our power very often, Neequa. We very often, in our humility, our unwillingness to draw attention to ourselves, to be singled out, I'm really aware that it's not that we don't think enough of ourselves, but we've been taught.
It's the narrative. If you talk too much, if you're too loud, if you move your hands too much, if your clothes is too bright, if your nails is too long, it's always something. I remember working in a corporate, in the corporate where I was working for, a bank, in the cubicles. I call it the cubicles. And I was young, and I think I was typing an email, and I may have used caps along the way somewhere, but unbeknownst to me, I used them inappropriately, and I was screaming and yelling and arguing by way of email. Which then snowballed into Toyia cannot talk to the manager without another person present in the office, because she is crazy. She's argumentative, and I literally, every time I talked with the manager, I had to have a chaperone. And I'll never forget, how that made me feel. I was a mother at the time. I had just became a single mother at the time. And I was treated so awful, so awful. And the chaperone, when I finally just got the courage to leave the job and pursue other things, she bought me a plant, and she apologized on behalf of the manager in the department. And she said, "I'm so sorry you went through that. I'm so sorry that you had to be subjected to that. Nothing was ever wrong with what you did. And don't ever believe that something was wrong with what you did."
What you're describing is the microaggressions that people are just beginning to realize that happen on a daily basis when you're a person of color.
Yes.
We are now, having discussions about innate bias, race, racial bias, unspoken racial bias. When I say to you, everyone wants to be adjacent to a Black woman in this election year, Black women really do hold the power of the vote to shift democratic policies in this country. I look to the example of women like Tarana Burke, who started Me Too.
Yes.
Because the level of discussion that Black women need to be having right now about the disparities in healthcare, maternal deaths, the lack of access to mental health services. If we're really going to lead, we have to think about what each other needs. First, you take care of yourself.
Yes, I love that. You got to put the mask on.
And then look around you and know that people know you have influence, that your voice matters.
Yes.
And the more we can talk to each other, because my mother used to believe in talk therapy. She used to make us crazy. Whenever the tensions, when you got 7 children at any point, and they're old ones and they're young ones and some in between, at some point there's tension between kids. You touch my stuff, you took my things, I don't like what you did, I don't like what you said, I don't like how you look, don't borrow my stuff, whatever. My mom, at some point on a Saturday night, might just sit around the dining room table with us, and she might say, "Okay, vent your spleen. I see this was mad. You got an attitude, whatever. But what she did is she encouraged a kind of conversation that wasn't defensive, that allowed you to express what was going on.
Yes.
If your feelings were hurt, if you were disappointed, if you had a bad week or a bad day or whatever that was. We all now more than ever need to remember that you can't give yourself, if you're filling up yourself with things that don't give you what you need.
Yes.
You know, you can it's very easily to deflect your needs to others and fill yourself up with their needs, whether it's your children, your husband, your man, your parent, or whomever.
Yes.
It's very easy to fill yourself up with what everybody else wants and needs from you, but it's very, very hard to say, I need this right now. I need you to listen to me right now. I need some space right now. I need to be quiet right now.
Yeah.
It's very hard to say that when you know everyone around you depends on you or has an expectation.
Yes. Ooh, that one.
Yeah.
That part.
That part right there.
Yeah.
I for one, I found that the surest way to feel disappointment consistently is to project your expectations onto others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this might sound cynical, but I'm of the mindset that if I don't expect anything, I get the right to be pleasantly surprised. It happens. You notice nothing negative about how I feel about that, because I haven't met my expectation.
Yeah.
I can't be disappointed.
Right.
All I get to be is surprised.
It's surprised.
When someone shows up, when somebody, shows improves, when somebody comes through, because I did not expect it.
Right.
I get to be grateful.
I was going to use that word. That's what I was going to say. So I'm so glad you said that.
Go ahead.
Because you're grateful because sometimes I don't want to say expect. Sometimes we can see in others what they don't see in themselves. When you don't expect it, but you can see it, and then they show improve, it just does something amazing. Right. You're happy for them. It's rewarding in this weird sense,
Truly.
It's rewarding. So I get that.
I think you got to allow the person to see it for themselves.
Yeah.
Because if you keep pushing it on them and they don't see it for themselves, you push them away from it. You got to kind of sit back. And I learned this as raising young adults.
Yeah. Them college kids, them college students.
Listen, it was hard for me to not have control to a certain extent when they're all the way, because see, I moved from New York. I'm in Virginia now. So they're still up north. They said, no, Mom, we're not coming to Virginia. We don't want to go to Virginia.
When my mother left to go to North Carolina, I refused to go. I refused to leave New York to go live in North Carolina. I became emancipated in this city at 16. And I still managed to graduate with honors. When I was working in that newsroom, Bryant Park was Needle Park, because the newsroom I worked at was at RKO Radio Networks, and it was at 1440 Broadway and 40th Street, right off Times Square. And I worked the overnight shift. I would go to work, I would ride the subway into Manhattan to work in this newsroom with all old white men that I used to tell them I thought they got out the mothballs to come to work every day. But I had a job I loved. I was learning from trained journalists that were like veterans and whatnot. And every night I would see the same street kids and they'd be like, yo, where you going?
To work.
I would say, I'm going to work. And they would like, going to work? What kind of work you do? You don't look like a hoe. We're talking street kids. We're talking about runaways that were prostituting in Times Square, pre-Giuliani, Disney Times Square. Okay.
Yep.
We're talking, I want to say 84.
Right in the midst of it all.
Right, yeah. That was,
Yeah, you know, I
that in Hunts Point.
Exactly. You know, they fell into the habit because they knew what time I would come off the train every night, and they would meet me and walk me to 1440 Broadway, where the building where the Western Union was on Broadway there in Times Square. And the security officer knew me, and I would sign in, and I would go up to the newsroom and whatnot. And they said, you know, and they fell into the habit of walking me every night. They'd meet me and walk me, and I felt very safe with them because they knew every hustler, everybody on the street. You know what I mean? And once again, my brother's wisdom of not letting me be such an egghead nerd saved me. And then once, you know, I said, you know, when I know you guys better, I'll show you where I work. And so after a month or two of them meeting me, walking me, I put their names on the security list for the following day, and they met me, and I took them to the newsroom, and they looked in the newsroom, and they looked around, and they saw all those white faces, and they saw all that technology. You know, we're talking about the wire services are running 24 hours a day. You know, there are digital, you know, editing rooms where huge reel-to-reels, and we're pulling live feeds off the satellite, and you know, and there's a computer station at every station, and there are television monitors on every station. And they looked at me and they said, "How did you get here?
How did you get here?"
Yes.
How did you get here? And I said, well, I liked school.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried really hard to stay out of trouble. Mm-hmm. I didn't tell them I did nothing fancy. I didn't tell them English honors. I didn't tell them none of that. Mm-hmm. I spoke to them in the ways that they really understood. You know, I liked school.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a baby.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like the work, and this is the work I want to do. Mm-hmm. And it surprised them because very few of us, even today, regular people have no real idea of how news is created, packaged, aggregated, and presented to us. Yes. No one knows that process intimately unless they know a reporter.
Yeah.
And these are kids that could not have been further from knowing someone like that professionally. Mm-hmm. And here I was, one of their peers.
I can't imagine. I mean, I can only imagine how they felt. It was like, you know, walking into a world that you didn't even know existed. You don't see it, you know. Even in recent news, you know, the gentleman that was accused by the white woman, and he was a bird watcher. And, you know, and I was like, bird watcher, you know.
Listen,
and
this man is on the Audubon Society, which is a national society.
Yes.
You know, this man has written for Marvel Comics.
Yes.
And he's an attorney.
I didn't know he was an attorney.
I didn't know that
but
part.
I mean, I was reading it, and it was like, the plot just kept thickening. And I was just like, what is going on here?
Because Becky got mad because he said, "Leash your dog."
Yes.
Yeah. So she
that was you walking those men or those young men into that station and opening their eyes. Yes. That moment opened my eyes, so I know it opened a bunch of other people's eyes. And the news didn't skip a beat to keep saying bird watcher because they knew we was blown away that the man was black and he was a bird watcher. You know,
the ramble in Central Park, and the ramble in Central Park is, first of all, I'm gonna drop this history. Central Park was built over Seneca Village, which was a free black village in Central Park.
Okay.
And so the bramble and all of Central Park is out. The ancestors.
Yep, the ancestors.
The ancestors.
They in there.
And the bramble is protected. The bramble is a designated part of a green space within the park that is unmanicured, that is wooded for the purpose of bird watching. Okay. You know, we forget, we've gotten so disconnected. We forget that all the flora and fauna around us, you know, you may not have grown up with a yard or something, but New York City is a very, very green space, and Central Park is considered all of our backyard. You know, if you don't have a yard and you're a city dweller, Central Park is where you go. That's where you go. And he was absolutely within his rights because the signs are posted prominently that you should leash your dog.
Yeah.
That's
as well as pick the crap up
Yes.
that falls that they refuse to pick up. But Absolutely. They want to sit there and complain about somebody who checked them on it, just like anybody. They would do the same thing, and then you're going to get mad. It's like, but you're you're trashing. You're letting the dog run wild, crap all over the freaking place. Yeah. And I'm nothing against dog owners, because I know people are going to sit here and be like, oh, my dog, because they treat them like kids. I have a pet as well. But just like children, there's certain things that you have to abide by. Like, you wouldn't go into a nail salon with your child and let them run rapid in the nail salon. They would kick you out. Okay. Your child needs to sit down like everybody else while you're getting your nails done and have them well behaved. Okay. Yes. So it's the same thing.
It's
like
the same thing. It's the same thing. Regulate your pet. It's a pet. Regulate it. Okay. Yeah. For children, that might not be an easy proposition, but you can regulate your dog.
Right.
Okay. You can regulate your dog. And she, in her privilege, was offended that she was told by a Black man. You know,
she put his life in danger. She put his whole entire life in danger.
Well, yes, she did. And this is a common practice. More and more, the era of cell phones reveal the true depth of daily microaggressions against people of color.
Yeah.
Racism is worse than it ever was. Now it's just being documented.
There you go.
Yeah, now it's just being documented. And so, you know, it's important for me to, when you see me coming, Black girl walking, and how you feel about that, I want you to think about Still I Rise, my Maya Angelou. Because if any part of you is uncomfortable by the expression of my Black femininity, you need to check yourself, because you either want to be near me or you want to be a part of my, you know, you want to be, listen, I told my beloved that my version of Black girl magic is a gateway drug. Those who want proximity, my Black girl-ness. I never underestimate just the sheer power of me being me, whatever that is. Okay, whatever.
Oh, if you're listening, I just want to say, I know that we've all experienced that at some point. And if you could just take a moment and reflect and accept it and own it and let it resonate so that you can release, you know, so that you can feel empowered by that feeling.
Exactly. So, and I mean, you know what, you have to, and the only way to truly do that is to find ways to love on yourself.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, you know how it is when you hold an infant up to a mirror and you begin to teach them to see themselves.
Yeah.
This is how we have to begin to see ourselves. In the same way that baby looks at themselves and recognizes themselves.
Yes.
That's how we have to begin to think of ourselves. And I don't know, then there's no special way, there's no perfect way, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. You know what I mean? Listen, I have walked past my mirror and looked at my hips and said, there needs to be somebody else in here with me for all of this.
They need to see this.
But the mere fact that I walked past that mirror and I noticed me.
Yeah.
You know, not for anyone else, not because of what I had on, not because I had blow hair to my waist, not because my weave was tight, not because,
right. You know, not because I had on them lashes.
Exactly. Not because of any of those things. You know, I might have just greased my legs and
pulled them socks up over their face.
And that's a metaphor for life. Grease your legs, pull up your socks, girl. You know, you're beautiful.
Yeah,
and it's not hard. You just love yourself. Be kinder to yourself. You know, I've heard people say that a lot, but that means everything. To know you can be kinder to yourself. I'm not saying give yourself excuses to deny and to rationalize. I'm not saying that at all. because I know when I'm being lazy. I know when I'm procrastinating. I know that what I just ate, I didn't have no business. I know, you know what I mean, that did you drink that wine? I know, you know what I mean? And so be kinder. Give yourself what I like to call the grace note. The grace note of knowing your work in progress, that you have an immense capacity for love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Ladies, this was wonderful. We have spoken almost 8 hours.
I know.
Not 8 hours.
We broke the
Almost
record.
3 hours. How many minutes, Toyia?
2 hours and 49 minutes.
Yes. But I just to wrap up, I wanted you to touch on one more thing.
Yes.
To wrap up the hip hop museum, can you talk about some of the honorary people, the honorary board, the people who
have our celebrity board? Oh my goodness. I don't even know where I want to begin. Ice-T has been to the revolution of hip hop. Nas is so supportive of us. Yes.
That's our food.
All right. Curtis Blow is our chairman emeritus. DMC from Run DMC. The list of names is longer than I can reel off here. They work very quietly behind the scenes. They don't ask for credit. They don't ask for publicity. I can't tell you how supportive and encouraging. Switz Beats is among one of those people. There's talk of the museum creating a fund for rappers that are aging into senior citizen years that did not reap one share that young rap artists are earning for their art today. This is so much bigger than one building.
Yeah.
That's the U in Universal. We want to use technology to inform and uplift. We want to bring others into the culture in meaningful ways that combat the media images of hip hop that are negative.
Right.
Okay. Because we now, and people used to toss this phrase around a lot, but now we really have one. Now we have a movement.
Yeah.
We really, this is not, not
it's not a fad. It ain't gonna be over next year.
It's not a phrase. No. This is not a hashtag.
Nope, it's not a hashtag.
It's not a hashtag. So with that in mind, I can only say to you, the museum is really, really dedicated to using this culture to propel us forward and to give voice to people universally that have embraced hip hop and interpreted it in their languages and in their cultures. We are creating cultural space for hip hop lovers all over the world.
State of the art, advanced cultural
state of the art, completely state of the art. We are building something that is state of the art that will outlive us all. And our archives, our preservation, I shared with you guys that we did a 2-day symposium in conjunction with NYU and the Cornell Archives for archiving and preserving artifacts you may have in your own home.
Yes. Can I ask you? Can an individual donate artifacts? And if so, how do they go about that process?
Absolutely. We have a process. If you write to info@UHHM.org, and I am going to put that into the chat for everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm going to write it down and continue to share that information.
When you make a donation, our curators and archivists have a process to authenticate whatever you want to donate, any kind of artifact. Say you want to donate your cross colors jacket.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that would be authenticated. They would create a form that would allow you to say you're making the donation and that it is going into our temperature controlled warehouse that archives, artifacts that have been donated. There's a process, and we accept many unique things, many unique things, because there's so many artifacts that are very, very specific to the culture. If you just go back to like a cassette tape or a boombox, and a T-shirt, and particular styles of fashion. I mean, door knocker earrings, girl.
Yeah,
so, yeah. There are we welcome artifacts. I want you guys to remember, and I mean all of the guests that are within the sound of my voice. I want you to remember this. Dr. Lonnie K. Bunch created the African American Museum there in DC by simply asking people to go in their attics, go in their basements,
amazing things,
and donate artifacts. And now, today, we got to practically get on a waiting list to get in that museum. It is so amazing. And we hope to replicate that for hip hop. So
it will totally be done. It will totally be done.
That's right. So if you have an artifact, donate it. If you got 5 on it, donate it. Because Nikki,
I love it. Oh my God. This is huge. It's so many people in our circle that are hip hop.
Yes.
Hip hop heads. And we're gonna cut this into a clip, and we're gonna beat it in their head. If y'all have something, be a part of history.
Yes.
Even during this time, look how impactful you can be for the future.
Absolutely.
Listen, so that's
be like Wu-Tang. Do it for the children.
Yeah.
You know what?
I love Wu-Tang.
Yes.
This was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I am so honored. I am so honored that you chose to speak with me. I feel that this was a sisterhood circle.
Yes. Yes.
I feel every bit of that.
Yes.
I want to share that feeling with everyone that sat in on the live stream. I want you guys to know we are family.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the hood, you can't stop the hood. The hood don't quit.
No.
We don't die. We won't die.
I was about to say that. That's crazy.
Exactly. So
we are so connected. We are so connected. And one thing that we said in the last chat is, having this platform and going about Mommas with Commas, we're talking to people that we never even imagined and interconnecting with people that would not have connected before. And a quote that I've lived by throughout my almost entire life was speak life to those who speak life to those who cross your path.
Amen.
And this has just been the life.
Yes.
This conversation, I had no idea that this was going to go down like this. Like, I kind of thought this was going to be one of the shortest chats that we had. We was going to talk about the museum and then it was going to be over with. When I tell you, I am so grateful for this conversation.
Yes.
And, we have been blown away. We go back and we look at our analytics and all of our data, and we're reaching upward of 500, 600, 1,000 people by way of Mommas with Commas, aka JourneyRight. And the people that are going to be impacted by this conversation, it brings me so much joy. And I am just so thankful. And I look forward to the future connections. I look forward to the virtual a gala. I look forward to if y'all are going to do a streaming groundbreaking, I would love to be there in the flesh.
Me too.
But I would definitely be streaming. To come back and revisit the revelation of hip hop, the pop up, to come to the museum. It don't stop.
Listen, let me tell you something. When they let us back out here in these streets,
when
they let us, when we let us back into the streets, I think we'll have a different appreciation of how we gather.
Yeah.
I think that we will find more value in our connections.
Yeah.
I think, coming out of clearly the Black Lives Matter protests, we want more meaning in all our interactions.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay? You know what I mean? Because in my mind, everyone who spoke their heart was an activist.
Yeah.
I don't care who you were. If you went on record and you said anything about why you protested, I respect you as an activist.
Right.
Because these critical conversations have value. The time that we need to begin to reflect and assess is now, about how we go forward as a culture and what we want for generations to come.
Absolutely.
I just thank you so much, Renee. It's definitely a blessing. And I'm so glad we connected with you. And now we have a connection that when we're all sisterhood, and I just want to thank you so much for that opportunity. And once we can get out here in these streets, we are definitely coming to visit again. Well, my first time and her second time, and we're going to come with the JourneyRight fam.
Yeah,
come with the JourneyRight fam. Hush Tours. When you come to New York with JourneyRight, contact Hush Tours. It's a sister owns it, and Hush Tours does hip hop tours. And the Revolution of Hip Hop is one of the stops on the hip hop tour that Hush Tours does. Believe me, culturally, this city is. I don't think that they really will understand the impact.
No.
I mean, I think for me, even Toyia, we both, it's in my blood. Even though I've lived all over, my dad was in the military. I lived in Florida. I lived in Virginia. I've been all Oklahoma, but New York, that's my home, my heart.
I understand.
I cannot take it away. You know what I mean? And I still have my family still up there, so it's not like I don't go back, but it's just a connection. And it's crazy because what ends up happening is I start connecting with other New Yorkers, and then it's like we become fam automatically.
It is a mindset. And I have to say, when I'm being glib, when I'm being flip, I say it's greater New York, not give me New York.
Okay.
Because if you get, if you find yourself here, you can really get what you came for. If you're really about it, if you bout it.
Absolutely.
They named it twice. Because if you're nice with it, this is how you do it.
Yeah. And you can't be weak. You gotta be a strong person to make it and be consistent. You can't, early bird gets the worm. You can't be like, oh, I'll be there tomorrow. No, man.
I got to quote Cookie Lyons on you. It's safe for everybody. That's why they made sidewalks. And so going forward, we know what's ahead of us. We're very, very clear. Because I love hip hop in the way that I do, and even working in the record industry, I was kind of surprising to a lot of people because I wasn't particularly typical. I didn't necessarily sound or behave like an around the way girl. But hey, LL was singing about me. I'm Angela. I'm Renee. Okay, I'm and don't make me get gully. Why? My theme music, is by Mobb Deep, Ante Up.
Oh yes.
Okay.
We're at 3 hours, so I don't want to give y'all an extendo version here and go into another story, but
I got to go. I love you guys.
We're connected even more now.
Thank you. I have enjoyed this. I gave up my Sunday to be with all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All your guests, and
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. Stay safe. We will be in touch with you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
You are permanently on my radar now. You're permanently on my radar now, and there is no trip to New York for the two of you that does not include seeing me live and direct.
Oh yes.
Hey, I already got it. It's already a done deal. It's already a done deal.
All right.
So we will see you soon.
Ladies, I'm leaving the studio now.
Okay.
Love you. Good night.
Universal Hip Hop Museum.
Yay!
Bye, everyone.
Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Oh man, so how amazing.
This was dope. This is the longest one we've had thus far, but it was definitely amazing, like you said. I mean, I think just the takeaway from me, I think Renee was excellent. She was lovely. You know, just her spirit, just everything, you know, I loved it. And the information as far as, you know, with the Hip Hop Museum, and you know, it was very inspirational for me. I was like excited, you know. I was like, you know, I mean, this is just I'm acting as if this is my baby, and it's not her project, but it's just so like, I don't know. It's
so amazing. Like, I can't express to you guys how different I thought this conversation was going to go. You know, I thought it was going to be very just operational, like, you know, just her storytelling alone, I needed that.
Yes.
You know, her validity of the Black woman, the Black spirit, it was necessary.
Yes.
And then the information that she gave us when it came down to the museum, which is the highlight of the conversation, was just phenomenal.
Yes.
So I'm full.
I like what I liked about it was one of the other things I liked about it is she was not only a Black woman, a strong woman. She had a lot of similarities that I could relate to.
Yeah.
You know, being a female in corporate, in the entertainment industry, holding it down, being professional, and people coming to her because she, you know, her resume is exceptional. Like, people come to her, she is like the it. Okay. And so, but she's very humbling, and she's willing to open her arms and provide the resources in her way. And as far as, you know, how she made it, I mean, you know, all of those are gems. I just want to put that out there. There's not a lot of people that are on her level that would even take the time to sit and talk to us on this type of platform. There's no way. There's no, I mean, I don't want to say there's no way, but there isn't. And, you know, some people just don't, you know, especially from her experience. I mean, if you listen to her talk, I mean, she's been deep rooted in the culture. So to see a woman who's deep rooted in the culture and have, you know, and have the strength and the power to overcome a lot of adversities and still get back to the community, still working with, you know, mental health, working, you know, on all these different arenas.
She's her mother's child.
Yes. And it's just
her mother's child, and we are so grateful.
Yes,
and
to be blessed with that,
and to be able to bless y'all with that. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this chat, this conversation. We will definitely take you guys up on turning our next trip to the revolution of hip hop, a JourneyRight trip. So we'll open that up to everybody. So I'll add a sign up to our Linktree links so that you guys can show your interest, and then we'll be in touch. We'll work on scheduling it through Hush Tour so we can experience it on a grander scale and kind of trump through New York and see how they can you know, just kind of guide the way for us on the hip hop journey there.
Yeah.
I do want to let you guys know that we are now streaming the podcast on 8 platforms. So that's the news. Normally we start off the chat with letting y'all know what's new and what we've been doing throughout the week. And, you know, we're streaming on 8 platforms now, which is absolutely amazing. We just want to be able to share these dynamic people, their information, their knowledge. And JourneyRight is an official LLC, so we're a company. Yes. Yeah, so big things this week, and we're still excited and blessed and happy. Next week, the show will be about motherhood and distance learning, homeschooling. We'll dig in a little bit more to let you guys know what UHHM is offering now, what they will be offering in the near future when it comes to educational pieces and activities. But yeah, we're excited, and thank y'all so much for your support. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. Just going back to like what we said in the beginning, me and Toyia were very hesitant to move forward because the conversations we have and things we talk about, sometimes we're a little, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but kind of uncomfortable where we don't know how other people would feel about it, but it's definitely conversations that need to be had. So sometimes when you make people feel uncomfortable, you're kind of like, I don't think I really want to open a platform on it. But when I tell you, and I'm just telling you a testimony, when I tell you that when we started out, and as it started to flow, it just started coming together. I'm just got to put that out there. And the amount of blessings, because it's blessings, it's definitely blessings of people who have come to us. Like we've reached out, but people have come back and it's like, oh yes, we love what you're doing. And it was kind of like a light bulb hit. Like, okay, it's actually working. You know what I mean? It's actually working. Like what we've been talking, because talking about planting a seed, we've been talking about this for a while. Like it didn't happen, not even, we've been talking about this for longer than 2 years. It was a seed.
2014.
We planted, 2014 planted the seed. We watered it. We watched it grow. We kind of like.
We grew, so much has happened. So we're just so thankful, to be in this place and to be able to take advantage of this time and turn it into something positive. So with all of that being said, you guys have a great night.
A great night.
A safe week. And
have a positive week this week. And I would say one takeaway or something to look forward to this week is how would you inspire? If you had a platform, what would be your platform? What would you do to inspire someone or mentor someone or help them? It could be whatever you're doing in your field or whatever hobby. How would you aspire and kind of open that door and uplift someone else?
Yes, that's a good challenge. That's wonderful.
So it's like,
I'm excited because I'm like, it's just it's lateral, and so many people are right here with us, and they're our peers, and they're doing big things, and just make it happen.
Make it happen. We're gonna be in this together. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna be what's trying to think of a group of people. We gonna come rise together. We're gonna rise together. That's it.
Yeah.
I already have the plan, so we just gonna do it together.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Shaniqua. And you have a good night. Normally we get on after this and we have another hour conversation, but we didn't ran it until we can't run it no more tonight. So
we don't ran
it tomorrow. This has been absolutely amazing. I will be posting on Spotify in about 20 minutes. And y'all just take care. All right. We'll talk to you guys on the next show is on Friday. So we'll see y'all back on Friday at 8:00.
All righty. Good night. Bye.